All right, welcome. And this is another ARML stream where we're going to be covering two games from A1 and a couple games later on from the B Leagues. I'm just going to mute myself because I hear myself in my own ear.
Oh, is that the Twitch stream in the background? Well, for Eric, this is Nathaniel, and we will be starting with the A1 matches. It'll be a couple minutes before it starts. Looks like we're 2 minutes off, but yeah, as Eric mentioned, this is really important as it will solidify the standings. We have Bichen, who will be our first dealer, who goes by the handle Konamuna. To the right will be QETC, and that is Dustin. Across the table, Casey is Kaz, and to the left we have Ashi, who is Oliver. And all four of these players are kind of in the middle of the table, or near to the middle of the standings, or closer to the bottom, and fighting to either stay out of the demotion zone or sort of clutch these last two matches and push towards the ceiling where Jeremy currently sits.
Right, so we're going to see Kaz and Bichen trying to push themselves away. Of course, we have 4 more games after this, so they don't have to leave the demotion zone before then, but like Bichen would like to get more than a 1-point advantage over Simon, who still has games to go. And Kaz definitely wants to boost himself up, preferably into at least 5th place by the end of this session. Meanwhile, you have Oliver and Dustin, who are going to be racing to creep their way closer to the top 4. Right now, they need at least 80 points to be there, but once again, with the 4 games to go, they'd both be happy getting to like plus 60 or something, which is entirely doable. Of course, with both of them at the same table, that's probably not going to be the case unless they take firsts and seconds.
Yeah, even a strong second place and a first place could bump you up there if you're Oliver.
Definitely. And if you look at the stats, we see they're all relatively similar in terms of win rate and dealing, except for Dustin, who has a higher win rate and a higher participation rate, especially the call rate at 40%. So I expect to see a lot of action, especially when pushing to those top 4 places, where not only do you have to get close to them, but you have to exceed them because the other players are still going to be able to get points in the next session.
And conversely, Bichen with the much lower call rate than the other players at the table probably corresponds to that smaller win rate as well.
Right. However, it's not about how much you win, but how much the wins are worth. So we're going to start off with Bichen's dealership here. Kind of average hand. Door's a 9-pin, so has one of those, has the opportunity to pick up the double tone, but other than that, is definitely looking pretty slow here. Over on the left, we see that Ash already has that Yakuhai pawn, and while there isn't much inherent value elsewhere, there are options to go into something like Toy Toy or pick up the Dora with a 7-pin. On the right, we see a Yakuhai pair as well with that south, and decent shapes in Sozu. Definitely easy to expand and call there, and really Toyman has an Ishan 10 already, actually, with Dora 2. So you're looking at Ricci Dora 2 on drawing the 7 Mon, which is sad, but you have to pass it up there, and 2-pin.
Yeah, really curious to see how quickly that hand will come into play for Kaz across the table, having such a fast start. And also interesting to see Dustin pass up the second south, so aiming for a Ricci hand.
Yeah, and at the moment, that is acceptable because you probably don't want to commit that 5-so to pair when it's a 3-6-0 shape, but at the same time, you have that 3-4-4 Mon, which easily makes up another pair, and you're kind of capping your value with the Ricci anyways, especially with this 8-pin toss. It's just going to be Ricci, which is worth more than a south only. And you have the chance for Ura, Ipatsu, and Menzen Sumo, of course. But it's dealer here with the headless Ishan 10 who makes it to 10-5 first on the 5-8-pin weight, and the 8-pin just came out. However, it's near the Dora, so I doubt we're going to see anyone shove it. And we immediately see Dustin toss the Genbutsu 4-pin.
Yeah, 4 of those tiles remaining, 1 8-pin and 3 5-pin in the wall.
And it looks like Kaz is going to try and sidestep this with the 1-pin Suji. Oh, it backfires immediately. But having to toss the 2-so and the 9-so into dealer feels scary here, so continues to kind of Mawashi around.
And Oliver on the left, having made 2 calls already, not in a very good position for defending, and so just pushes the 7 mon and the 1 so.
Probably figures that the 6 mon was so early that the 7 mon is probably okay. Especially since the north was discarded before the 4 pin, so it seems like the dealer wasn't holding on to safety and probably wouldn't have Sakiri'd from a good shape. But like that aside, like you said, there's no real good folding options until now where the 9 so came out.
So that
Now,
gives
it
2
is
tiles of safety.
Yeah, it is possible to get into Tenpai. Pushing the 2 pin, that's one chance because you see through the 4 pin in the pond, but it's going to be on a bad weight either way. So just decides to continue cutting that pair.
Kaz
And
leading the way for Oliver.
Right, yeah. Kaz is 2 Shanten. Alright, goes with the one chance 3 pin now, even though it's close to the Riichi tile, which is a little scary.
Well, Kaz can see the last 4 pin in hand.
Right. And it's unlikely that the dealer would have something like a Shampon and pass up a 2-5 pin weight.
Sumo.
Oh, see the sumo. Reached Sumo Dora 1. Need an Uro for Mangan? It doesn't hit it, so that's 2,000 all. Still a respectable start for Bichen. Alright. This next hand is... it's Sanshoku Express, really. There's nothing much to talk about here. It's just a great hand. In Absolute Dream World, you draw the 6 mon on the next turn and you Riichi for Reach Pinfu Sanshoku Dora 1.
The other hands, not quite as pretty, but...
Yeah, on the left we do have the Yakuhai, which just got pawned, but it's still, like, you have to deal with that annoying pinch on there. You still have to pick up a pair, but at least your Manzo are completed, and you have the ability to pick up the Dora 2 so. I wonder if at a Riichi, Bichen will settle for the Pinfu and toss the 5 mon.
Yeah,
but
I wonder, so if you drew the 1 so here, are you targeting Reach Pinfu Dora 1, or are you aiming for that Sanshoku for the Mangan?
I think, personally, I'm very greedy when it comes to things like that, and I just aim for the Mangan. I mean, because why not? But, like, to be honest, it's not bad to take the Ryanman. You double your chance at sumoing. For me, like, if another 9 mon comes out, I'd definitely go for the Kanchan. Because it's not too much of an advantage to have 2 extra tiles versus the Sanshoku. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's probably a good question for someone better than me. I'm very indecisive when it comes to playing. In the meantime, it looks like on the right we have some significant improvements in shapes. And we are at a kind of Kutsuki 2 Shanten looking at Tanyao Dora 2.
Perfect draw, the 6 mon came out, and it's a Dama for Bichen.
Yeah, Pinfu Sanshoku Dora 1.
So guaranteed 12k in a row.
Alright. Now, if you Riichi, you also have the Haneman on a Sumo, but going into the second row, probably more interested in just winning the hand than pushing for the non-guaranteed extra value.
But also, the winning tiles would be near the Dora, so it might be a little bit harder to see that come out.
Absolutely.
Tenpai on the left for Oliver at a 6-9 mon weight, and this is an extra 6 for Dustin that unfortunately will deal in.
Alright.
So the one benefit...
So I wonder, yeah, one benefit of Riichi, like you were about to say, is that you can scare people off. Though whether Dustin would have folded or not is another question. I definitely don't think you would have seen the 6 mon push, though.
Yes. Yeah, it's always such a tough scenario, but I can't complain about that Dama.
Alright, so unfortunately, we have to move on. But you see Dustin here, starting with a very mediocre hand, can shift to accept Dora with that 5 so. It's really Toyman Ash who has the fastest looking hand of all. Kutsuki Ishanten It looks like Honitsu at a glance, but you have that 678 chi, and you definitely don't want to give up the Ryanman. Interestingly, doesn't give up the south either, perhaps keeping safety, doesn't want to ever toss that Dora.
Yeah, it seems
Especially
like
if you can... Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, it seems like a committal to using the door in that hand. I mean, if you could pair it up.
And here, yeah, you're just going to chi and takes the 6-9 wave, which immediately comes out. With an interesting choice between that and the South Tonki, but I believe the second South had just dropped before that, so the 6-9 seemed fine.
So another fast hand, and we'll move to East 3. Oh! East
Yeah,
3.
this is interesting. I wonder if... Yeah, I think you're just going to see... Yeah, one of the spare tiles going. I probably would have considered the North. Even the Penchon cut is tempting, but maybe a bit too early for that. Apparently, interested in the Pinzu Honitsu. It seems pretty greedy given that the shapes are bad. To just cut a Ryanman openly like that, and now the other players are going to see that and they're going to go, uh-oh. And we'll see how much Shibori Dustin plays, how much squeezing he'll do of those Pinzu tiles. Well, the 9-pin comes out. It's still so early that you figure, oh, maybe I could push one more. And the rest of the Pinzu shapes are set there, so you're not worried about having to toss them later on. Looking at the other hand, nothing too terribly interesting. I mean, on the right, we've just had a good fill into Tushanten, or reach Pinfu, door 1. Oh, unfortunately misses the Itsu chance here, and doesn't want to throw at 7-pin. Doesn't want to feed the dealer, because you look at the dealer's pawn, and it's very obviously a Pinzu Honitsu, or maybe a Toy Toy in some cases.
Oh. When you draw a second Dora.
Well, yeah, the 2 Dora is equivalent to the Honitsu, so you absolutely take that. Unfortunately, you have this overlapping 5, 6, 8, 9-pin shape, which is kind of very clunky.
As
you have to fill with the 7-pin choice.
Yeah, the shapes that you need to complete are the shapes that look dangerous to the rest of the table, the Pinzu shapes. So
there's some consolation in the fact that a lot of the upper Pinzu are already gone. So the chance of the 7-pin being in the wall increases a little bit, but here we can see that there's just 2 being held, and while Dustin normally wouldn't have kept that 7-pin around in most scenarios, because he sees the Honitsu, he does keep it, so that wall read would be slightly inaccurate due to the player's intentions. The 7-mon was probably kept over the east in hopes of drawing an 8-mon or a 6-mon and trying to chi one of the tiles that you already dropped back into Tenpai. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be tough for this to get into Tenpai at this point. Or you'll get into Tenpai, but you'll have a tough time winning. Oh, this is a definite improvement.
And
now you can accept the Dora pawn.
Exactly. We see that the Dora is not going to come out of any of the other players' hands, but you could even call the 5-pin now. And although Dustin might be reticent to discard Pinzu tiles, the other players might feel a little bit more comfortable knowing that it can't be called by chi.
Right. I wonder if they feel that the dealer might be Tenpai now after that East overflow, because that was the first East that was discarded. So yeah, I don't know. And now with this 9-pin, with so many of the upper pins already gone, they're probably really suspicious. Edakan. Yes, you get that extra draw in.
Haku the new Dora, but we can see that 3 have been discarded, so not going to be used in anyone's hand.
Oh wow, and that's a bit of a shove there. Now the question is whether you take the Toy Toy or the Honitsu. It goes for the Toy Toy, but I don't think any of the tiles are going to come out, so I'd rather go for the one that's easier to win with. And when we have a Tenpai across the table, the 2-pin is safe to dealer and deals into Pinfu Dora 1.
It's another situation where we see a Dama from Beachin, but in this case it's to trap that 2-pin into coming out.
Right, and figuring probably this late in the hand, you don't want to push something too terribly dangerous against dealer, and you don't have that many draws left, so the breach doesn't have a lot of benefits. And that Dama serves the purpose perfectly. Alright, we move on to Ash's dealership. Dora is a 2-pin. The hand needs a lot of work here. If you draw the 6-pin, you're happy. You can go for 5, 6, 7 Sanshoku. Over on the right, see a couple completed shapes and Adora Anko. Holding on to those Yakuhai a little bit longer, hoping to pair them up and accelerate the hand for a quick Mangan. But now that their other shapes are filling in, they're starting to cut those out, especially since the Haku was once cut. Across the way, we see 4 pairs. Actually cuts out the Ryanman, so Dustin seems to be trying to hedge between a normal hand and a Chitoi, which is also always really difficult to do. But here, because you have the 1-3 mount together, you can kind of hope to get Ipeiko, I guess, which kind of works towards both hands. And lastly, on the left, we have the Yakuhai pair, and once again, a lot of pairs here. We also have 4 pairs and another Ipeiko chance. Moves into Ishanten, cuts the Ryanman, leading to that Chitoi Tenpai on the 2-pin, 2-mon, or 4-mon.
In the meantime, Bean on the right has been drawing perfectly, filled in the Sozu Kanchan with the 6-0 draw, and now Headless Ishanten.
Right, and your dream here is to draw the 6-pin or the 8-pin and just Dama for the Mangan. Taking the Chi is fine too. You don't really like the Tanki, but there's ways to shift away from it. Takes the 8-pin Tanki, it's slightly more towards the outside, even though it's been dropped once. If players are being cautious, they probably don't want to toss either of the tiles anyway. Because you just had a player call a Ryanman Chi and discard a middle tile. Oh, the 8-pin comes right out from Dustin, unfortunately caught off guard by that hidden Anko of Dora. Pays out a Mangan Beechen, who takes a commanding lead going into South 1.
And that was like the perfect scenario. Dustin had previously dropped the 8-pin and just happened to draw into another one, so you knew it wasn't useful for that player.
Exactly. Alright. Not as exciting a start for Beechen this time around, but does have 3 pairs already, and that 6, 7, 7, 8-pin Nakabukure shape, which can expand easily. Over on the right, it looks like a nice fast hand over here on the right. You're looking at Tampin. There's some chances for Sanshoku, 5, 6, 7 Sanshoku. Across the way, also relatively fast. I believe they're in Ishanten now. You can have a nice north 6-pin Shabo. Unfortunately, one of the norths just came out, so it's a little weaker than before. And then on the left, not a whole lot going on. Kind of more similar to what the dealer has here, where you have several shapes completed, but no super duper value lined up. And it's really the player cost who has the fastest reaching. That north just came out. Unfortunately, the 6-pin are locked up, but the last north is in the wall, and I have to imagine that if someone draws it, they're likely to drop it this early on.
Well, this is Tenpai as well for Dustin. Which way does he want? Chooses the one that guarantees Tanya.
Right. And if you get the 7-so, you get Sanshoku already. So you get Mentampin at least, but then the Sanshoku would bring it up to Mangan or possibly Hanuman or Sumo.
4-7 weight has 5 tiles remaining in the wall, so it's very strong. Dropping
Versus
Dora against the reach is scary.
Absolutely. Oh, there's one of them. That's one of the things is the weight across the way is very weak when you compare the numbers. Psychologically, if someone picks up the north, it seems relatively safe against both players, and you might see it come out. It's definitely more likely than someone dropping the 4-7, and unfortunately there it goes. It is the Yasume, but let's see if there's any Dora hit. None, so it's just 3,900, but it's welcome. Try and push Dustin out of last place, going into their dealership.
Yeah, random thought, but I can't help but notice how quickly the players played while defending against both the Richis. In some of the other divisions, it feels like a Richi comes out, or 2 Richi come out, and everything slows down to a crawl, but these A1 players definitely know how to defend against 2 Richi.
I think, especially with these players, once they get to a certain point in their hand where they feel confident in what they're going to do and they have a game plan, they start to look up at the table and think about those safe things. Oh, I'll keep this safe tile for later. And you notice things. Oh, there's like a partial Kabe forming in this area. And that way, especially relevant for online play, when you get to a tough situation where you have to defend, you already have some of these things in your mind. And you're able to make those decisions quickly rather than run out your time. But yeah, it's really impressive how fast everyone was playing there. Dealer with a nice Ishanten already. Will he cut the 6-pin or the 8-pin? If you kick the 6-pin, you still have a chance at 7, 8, 9 Sanshoku and Chanta. Even if the efficiency is slightly worse and you can no longer pawn the south. I don't know, that's a tough call there. I wonder what Korak would do.
Yeah, there definitely is. Oh, so here's another chance.
Yeah. If you'd kept the 6 pin, you might, but even then, it looks like an Arazuka at that point for a low value hand.
Yeah, you'd be really locking yourself up there.
And actually decides to stop chasing that dream, keep the 4 mon, since it's Dora and can become a better shape than that 7/9 mon Kanchan, which has dropped twice now. Oh, 3 times with this 8 mon coming out.
Chi.
Oh, okay. So is hoping for the south, and then getting a Dora Tonki, or possibly switching to a terminal Tonki like the 1 mon, for example. Also has the chance to drop back into Sanshoku now that the 8 pin was recovered.
To the rest of the table, this looks kind of like it's going to be Honitsu, or some sort of Yakuhai. Or
Right,
789.
yeah, it is looking like that. Especially with the 1 pin before the honors.
Right.
Also looking at the rest of the table, we have Kamicha with a 2 Shanten, and we have Tenpai over here from Kaz. So there's no guaranteed Yaku, and it's quite a wide wait. It's actually waiting on 36958. But only one of those will give Yaku, the 9 pin. And it comes straight out. Yeah, if you drew any of those other ones, you'd be pretty disappointed because you already took that terminal chi, but maybe at that point you go towards Chinitsu rather than hoping to 310 sumo the 9 pin only.
And Dustin had been dropping a lot of Pinzu, so that wouldn't be that far of a stretch either. You have 2 drawing pools at that point.
All right, we move into South 3. It's Kaz's dealership, starts with a nice Yakuhai pair and fairly decent or easy to expand shapes all around. Over on the right, 4 pairs already. Maybe thinking of Chitoi Dora 2 if you can draw another 5 pin. No Yakuhai to speak of. Hoyman here already with a con chance. Decides to pass it up. Already in the lead, probably doesn't want to think about that kind of thing. You don't want to boost anyone else's points. And then over on the left, we have a Yakuhai pair. But whether you want to go for a quick Yakuhai Dora one hand or for something more is the question. And your Ishan Tenso, you can easily draw something like the 6 mon Richi for Richi Dora 1, which is better than an open Yakuhai Dora 1.
Given that we're in South 3 and Dustin's in 4th, barely by 2,500.
So Kaz is going to move into Ishanten here, and rather than Richi, he can also choose to pawn that Chun into Tenpai. I wonder if it was worthwhile thinking about keeping the 9 pin in case you drew the Dora, and then you can aim for Pinfu, but the callability of the Chun makes me think that I probably wouldn't drop the pair if I got the Pinfu improvement. Especially this late in the hand. You gotta be thinking, where are those Chuns? And in this case, they're just in the wall. And we have something very similar just happened on the left, where Dustin drew a 7 pin and changed the pair to get a possible Pinfu, and is actually Tenpai now. Decides to Dama the bad weight for Tanya Dora 1, waiting on the 6 mon. And that's versus the dealer's 2 mon Chun Shabo. Unfortunately, we see 3 of the 6 mon already. So maybe a good call not to Richi there and chase the dealer.
The question is, where is the Chun and who will draw it first?
Oh, there's the last 6 mon. Unfortunate.
This is Tenpai for Pichen. Before 7 mon wait.
Besides the Dama, it can only sumo, unfortunately.
Oh, there's the Chun.
Oh, you have to be thinking, like, at this point, it hasn't come out for 2 whole rows. You have a Richi on the table, and you have someone who's been pushing a couple of live tiles to your right, so... Yeah, decides to fold there.
The wall's
back into
tempting him.
It really is. But I think Bichen is a more defensive player overall, so it's probably going out.
I think so.
We're winding towards a draw here. There's still one Shun left on the wall, but that's it. And the other weight is dead.
Kaz has high Tay here. Oh, sorry.
I think it's Ash.
It's, yeah, the player to the right who does.
Right. That's one hint. If you're ever playing in person or online, the player who is south has high T by default. Oh, it became Suji, but Ash doesn't have one to drop anyway. So it's 1,500 all for Dustin and Kaz. They're both fighting neck and neck here. Every 1,000 points counts when you're this close. And now there's a Ricci stick and a Homba in the middle to incentivize people to call their hands even faster. See, the door is the 9 when the dealer starts with an uncle of the door, though it's not a callable hand unless you draw another tune. However, you just filled a great shape here. It moves into 2 Shanten. Decides to cut the 8 Mon, which I think I would have kept because if you draw the 7 Mon, then it becomes 7, 8, 9, 9, 9. You have your pair and you can go for a Dama Pinfu more easily. Regardless, looking around, it's really Toyman's hand who has the best chance at competing
Each.
here. Well, scratch that. Last door 3 Ricci from dealer. 2-pin Kanchan. 2 of them already gone, but it's so early that it might just come out if people are pushing. However, at the moment, both of the 2s are locked up in environment, so that's unlikely.
The weight isn't amazing here, but it seems a bit of a stretch to get a fast improvement. So I think just throw the stick in and hope for the best.
You have the option to drop the 1-pin and to hope to stick something as a 6-pin, but it's not a guaranteed better weight, and all those tiles are kind of in the same area anyway. Oh, we see the 3rd copy drawn by Dustin. Now, it'll be interesting whether that becomes a pair or if he fills the Ryanman and decides to try and toss ones with so little info showing. Could end it disastrously. Goes with the Formon that just passed.
It's one of those moments where after throwing the Ricci, you hope to draw more Pinzu, but unfortunately that's not happened at all for Kaz.
Yeah, there's no opportunity for a Suji trap yet. And we see 3 of the 5-pin in Bichen's hand, so it's unlikely that would become Suji trap. Saw an uncle across the table.
2 away from Tenpai there. Ishantan now, if you can push, but does not.
Yeah, and the 3-mon is Furiten, and it's also discarded twice.
Oh, 3 times even with the dealers.
Oh, right.
So yeah.
Plays it safe, doesn't want to drop any Shompai at this late. In early Ricci, you never know what the weight can be, because the hand hasn't had a lot of time to develop, so it could be, like in this case, something that can potentially be Suji trapped, and thus it's not great to be tossing the live tiles so late. Back in Ishanten, though. Shoves the half Suji no chance. Sees the 1-pin in the discard, so it can't be a 1 4-pin weight, and sees all 4 of the 6-pin, so it can't be the 4 7-pin weight either. Also has a whole bunch of the 5-pin, so it's unlikely to deal into anything other than a Shabo or a Tanki.
Khan.
Oh, Khan! Dora Khan, now everyone's going to fold for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at Ricci Dora 5, with that Khan Dora being the 6-pin, and there's the last 2-pin. I can't imagine this comes out. Especially since it's Tenpai. Oh no, it's not Tenpai. If anything, you'd push the 3-pin. Oh, what? Wow, that's very bold. It didn't become Suji either. Unfortunately, that's going to be a Hanuman Dylan, and Dustin's going to fall far behind now, especially from a direct hit from his rival, and that boosts Kaz right into first place. Just a couple, like 1,000 or so above Bichen. I really wasn't expecting that.
Yeah,
I guess maybe the thought was if like the first one passed, that the other 2 will pass, but this late.
Was that also Chitoi Shanten maybe?
I think it was Chitoi Ishanten or Chitoi 2 Shanten. I don't know which.
4 or 5 pairs.
Let's see. Possibly ran out of time.
That could be
that because it was the 2-pin draw that turn, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It could have been that. Yeah, it's tricky.
Well, as it is, that's a massive win for Kaz, who's now in first place and doesn't really have the most amazing of high pie. It's actually Dustin who's got quite a good one.
We have confirmation from QETC. It was just running out of time. These things happen.
Yeah, it was definitely a difficult position.
Most certainly. That being said, there is a nice Ishanten brewing in his hand now. Empire on the 4-7 mon or the 4-7.
Home.
So for Mentanpin Ipeko.
If you draw the Pinzu tiles fast enough, you might even have a chance at Yanpeko. But Kaz finds Tenpai on the 7 mon for Hatsu Itsu.
Right. And you see early 8 mon Tadashis from the other players, so you think, oh, 7 mon, not too bad, might come out.
You have 3 left in the
Or he
board.
might just draw it.
Speaking of drawing the 7 mon,
Wrong.
Oh, there it goes. Hanagiris from inside the hand. And deals in.
so this is a great opportunity for Kaz to run up the score.
Unfortunately, this hand is really clunky. You might... I wonder if I would have considered something like just 8-pin and just playing the hand a little bit more defensively, maybe high rolling for a Honitsu or Kokshi.
Mm.
And then if it doesn't work out, you can just let your dealership pass.
And if you show
No
scary enough, Honitsu, you might be able to get the rest of the table to fold as well.
Right, which would be ideal even if you aren't Tenpai yourself. Just moving into South 4 without your point rival, beach and across the table, having any chance to kind of push a hand together.
Especially with the door being the east, Honitsu looks a lot scarier. And we see 1 east in the dealer's hand and 1 across the table in Beechen's hand.
That being said, it has quickly managed to turn into a Tushanten hand, though it will be Richinomi with a bad rate unless something changes. For example, drawing the 9 mon would be great here because you give yourself outs to Chanta and can then call bad shapes.
Ooh, the 7 pin's a good draw.
Absolutely.
And
Keeps the Dora.
Love to pair that up.
Absolutely.
And
And the
they
hand to the right is Tenpai, right?
It's Ishanten right now.
Oh, Ishanten, sorry, I'm seeing
Ishanten.
those mons are wrong.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, now it's Tenpai, there we go. I was just telling the future.
Each.
Throws the stick out to... Wants to make it over 30,000, so that makes a lot of sense.
Right. Yeah, this is a case where reading the Ida Yonken, that is, you see the 6 pin, so the Urasuji of that is the 2-5, and the 1 pin, the Urasuji of that is the 2-5, makes the 2-5 look suspicious. Though it is an inaccurate reading technique, it only works about 30% of the time, it does identify danger fairly well. So I wonder if the other players are going to read into that. Well, there's one of them. Probably just going to continue cutting the west. And doesn't want to fool around with the first place position. Even Dustin here is kind of playing it safe and dropping that 9 so Suji. Not a lot of opportunities to push this hand forward for value no matter what he does.
Mm.
So it decides it's better just not to lose any more points.
Yeah, if there's any type of significant value, I think we'd see a very different play, but...
Alright, there we see the 7 pin go out. And the 7 pin, at a glance, doesn't seem too terribly safe, but because the early 6 pin from Shimocha, it's not too bad either, because you probably figure that they're not going to be cutting from that area quite so fast. So I wonder if it might have been beneficial to go with the 9 pin first, just because that's Suji twice cut, so it'd have to be a Hellweight Tanki. Either way, everyone's been able to dodge this 2 5-pin weight so far, and there's only 2 left in the wall.
Just sort of has the feel that it's going to go to Yukioku, unless Oliver can draw that last one, or one of the last 2.
Yeah, none of the other players seem like they have any incentive to push that tile. One last one left. I believe it's the 2 pin
Yes.
that's left.
Will we see Haite Sumo?
Haite Sumo. I have to make a prediction. Yeah, it's going to be a Haite Sumo.
I think so too. I want to see Magan. Delay, increasing the.
Oh no,
that counts, right? It's
that
the
is
Haku.
yeah, it's the
the wild
Shiroko
card.
You put whatever you want on that. All right, so Ash is the only one Tenpai. It goes up by 3k, that much closer to the goal of crossing the 30k mark. And now his dealer can even think about trying to go for first, depending on what kind of hand to start with. Now this hand has potential to become a Mangon if you get Riichi, Pinfu, Dora 2 pairing up that west. The other hand's also a bit scattered at the moment. Wyman Dustin has the least points here, has a hand that is potentially, like, technically the most complete at the moment with the completed Mensu, but doesn't have the value needed to jump out of last place. I wonder if he's going to play for conservation, just try not lose too much this game, or if he's going to go for the big buck.
I imagine the door is never leaving. Might even have Itsu chance now.
Probably 9 months? Yeah. Dealer has worked their way into Yushanten. A little bit more flexible with their extra pair draw. Now either of those shapes can fill in, the other one will become the pair. And then you have a Kutsuki Ishanten.
A lot of Pinzu
Beach?
accumulating in Kaz's hand, but unlikely to become Shinitsu or anything fancy like that.
Definitely. Especially with the 3-pin cut earlier, that kind of limits you a little bit. And you're also in a position where you don't want to go for a hand that you have to open a lot to complete. You prefer something fast and light that you can Dama, preferably, to take no risk going first. The Beachin over here wants to make up, I think, 4,000...
Yes,
4,900 or... Yeah.
Each.
So is looking for a 3-Han Riichi or 3-Han Dama hand, which will be 52.
We see the reach from Dustin for Riichi, Pinfu, potential Itsu on the 9 Soka, so 3-sided weight.
And this doesn't have any chance, really, of jumping him into third, but if he can win on the Takame, it will win back a lot of those points that he lost.
Sumo.
Has to take that. You don't want to mess around anymore. You'll probably lose more if you pass that and the dealer wins something. So unfortunately, has to take the 713, but does regain a few points.
Okay, so
unfortunate with that timer earlier, otherwise the position would be way different. But that's just how the game goes. So we should be moving into the second game for them, I believe.
Yes. Well, actually, it looks like they have not started that second game just yet. So as it is, it's cast with a plus 30.3 score. Bichen plus 15.4, the very nice second place. And then Oliver in third, negative 9.4. Dustin in fourth, negative 36.3. Have the standings updated yet?
I don't think they have, because Dustin is still as plus 32. Oh, there, it just gone.
All right.
All right. So Dustin does fall a couple places, but still is relatively out of the demotion range, though everyone is.
If you look at where the cutoff mark is, the cutoff mark is the negative 33.7. So that's one bad fourth. One more game just like this, and you've suddenly fallen into that range.
Right. So hoping for another first or second here, kind of bolster yourself a little bit, not have to worry too much about that. Bichen, on the other hand, with that plus 15, has climbed away a little more, and Kaz even has a shot now.
Yeah, one more game like this, and it gets incredibly tight at that cutoff spot. Right. I'm sure the players will want to pause and think about how the standings have changed and if their incentives will change in the upcoming game.
Yeah, a lot went on that game. There are, I believe, 2 or 3 hands with Adora, Anko, Riichi. Most of them fell through. There weren't too many super big exciting hands, to be honest. Like, nothing's like a Chinitsu push. But we did see some really well disciplined play from everyone. And you saw, like we were talking about earlier, people know when to fold, they know how to fold immediately. There's no need to be sitting there for 30 seconds and thinking about it, because they've been thinking about it for the whole rest of the hand in their free time. And that's really such a big difference than what you see in B1 or B2, where people kind of, it seems like they separate the game into like a folding portion and a pushing portion, and only when they get to the folding portion do they start thinking about that quite as much. So we see a lot more pausing, and the game pace slows down, which is always interesting, especially when you're playing in person, to see the pace suddenly change. I think that's part of what makes the game so fun in person.
Yeah, it looks
Those
like
little cues.
the next match will start in about 4 minutes.
Sounds good. I guess just looking over these stats a little bit, let's see. Dustin over here has the 24% win rate, like we said earlier, and actually has a higher than average winning hand score as well with 5,600. And the deal-in rate is very comparable to others. Bichen also with a slightly higher than average hand score, so both of them probably aiming more for hand Yaku.
And Bichen also with one of the lower deal-in averages.
Right, I think Bichen is at 13% now? Yeah, something like that.
13% before this most recent game. And I think Bichen did not actually deal in very much, if at all, this last game.
Yeah, probably shouldn't change that much.
But
actually, looking at A1 overall, most people have their dealing rates in the teens. Really, we're looking at a lot of 12, 13, 14% kind of dealing rates. And the people who are more aggressive and have a higher dealing rate tend to have a higher win rate as well. Or at least that's how you'd prefer it to be.
Right.
I've heard from some people that if you have a 10% difference between your win rate and your deal-in rate, obviously you want the win rate to be 10% higher, then you're on the right track.
Well, just looking at the players in this league, it seems like that is actually the case for quite a few of these players.
Yeah, especially looking towards the top here, you see that gap widens quite a lot. Like if you look at Shu, for example, we see a 12% difference. Same with Steve.
Same for you.
Almost. Oh, okay. I've been very lucky. I'm a very defensive player here. But you see, my win rate isn't quite as high as some of the other ones. It's definitely lower than it was last season.
Yeah, even some of the players at this well, let's see. We have Arthur at 11th with that 10% difference, and Dustin with very close to a 10% difference.
And you know, if you compare the win rates in this section of the league to some of the other sections, you can find really high rates in the other sections. I think it was Brett who had something close to a 30% win rate, which is really fantastic. And part of the reason they might be lower here is that people are more defensive in general. They're quicker to fold and sense danger at the table. So the participation rate in the hands might be lower. And that probably contributes to it quite a lot.
Yeah, we see... Oh, we don't have the participation numbers added up on this screen. But if I pop over here, there we can see the participation is in the 50s for most of these players.
A little higher than I thought. Looking at 60% or almost 60% for some of the players, like Orak,
and Dustin as
charging
well.
ahead with those Richis, and yeah, Dustin too, who had a high call rate. All right, how are we looking on that game?
Let's take a look.
10:05, so we have another minute or so. Looks like we're going to start with Ash as the dealer this time.
And that is
We're going to have
Oliver.
Bichen. Oh yeah, that's Oliver. Then we're going to have Bichen as south. We're going to have Kaz as west, and we're going to have Dustin as north, taking that last dealership. That's always an interesting position to be in. I've heard that if you're the north player, you have a higher chance at first and a higher chance at last as well.
Interesting. I'm going to go ahead and adjust the volume for our viewers. There we go.
All right. Really nice hand from the dealer starting off. Would like to pair up the 1 pin or the 8 pin and get to that perfect Ishanten. Over on the right, also working towards a Ricci. Hoyman has a decent chance at 7 pairs here. And then on the left, probably looking towards a Ricci Pinfu, maybe Tanya if you shift correctly. The door is the 1-mon, so not the most difficult to use, but it's hard to put in open hands. And I don't think we see a single one of them yet.
Yeah, they're all in
They're
the wall. A couple players here floating to be able to retain the 1-mon. In fact, everyone's got at least one lower Mazu tile, so they could be able to use it. It seems like Bishan on the right might be have the least chance of being able to do that, and also is the closest to Tenpai.
Yeah, we have an Ishanten there waiting on the 5/8 so or the 2 pin in west. I think either way it fills, you'll be happy about it. Now with that 3-mon, gets the chance to draw the 2-mon into Pinfu Ishanten and drop the Sha or the 2-pin pair, which could also allow for door acceptance.
Is it standard to drop the west here, assuming that, or the
Yeah, so I think if it's early in the hand, you probably drop the 2-pin because the west is more likely to be safe later. But going into the second row like this, you probably drop the west because you want the second west to be able to pass.
Ooh.
But you don't want to drop the 2-pin, and then if someone reaches, the 2-pin is a lot more suspect than the west. So here actually we see the 2-pin come out, maybe thinking that it's early enough that they can get away with it, but we'll see how that goes.
We've seen that on stream before, where the player dropped the middle tile instead of the honor tile, and then got caught by a reach in between. It was forced to fold.
Yeah, luckily the second one comes out before Kaz gets Tenpai in the 2/5 pin wait. Still 2 Shanten over there. Dealer moving into Ishanten, they have a Ryankan 2/4/6-mon and a 5/6 pin Ranmen ready to go.
So there's even a chance for 4/5/6 Sanshoku.
Absolutely, you'd love that. If you draw the 4-pin, I think you take that every time. As it is, there's only one 4-pin left, though.
Yeah, the 4-pin across the table from Kaz was a little bit interesting. Just totally giving up on the Ipeko chance.
Might have... I didn't see when they drew the door. I don't think they had it before that point, but maybe not wanting to drop the door, trying to work it in somehow. And we have Tenpai here for dealer. Besides the Dama, it's unfortunately no Yaku. Maybe hoping for the 4/5/6 Sanshoku. Honestly, I'd probably just take the 6-mon Ricci, waiting on the Sudi Trap 3-mon, and try and slow other people down.
This works too. Now you've upgraded to Tanyao.
Yes, yeah, the Tanya upgrade, you can continue to Dama.
I guess your best upgrade would probably be the 7-mon. And you have a chance for 5/6/7 Sanshoku. Although, of course, there's only one left.
Weight.
Bichen sort of committing to that Dora pair.
And we have our Ricci. I think this is a 1/4-mon wait. Oh, sorry, it's a Tonki. 3-mon Tonki.
Yeah, there wasn't really a choice there. Perhaps regretting hitting the Ricci button. Oh no, there's a Dora Anko drawn. This is interesting. Having dropped the west, you can no longer push that.
With 2 perfect draws, it is possible to get into Tenpai there, but not to Sumo. Oh, unfortunately that 2-mon backfires. That Tonki would have sumoed 2 turns after the Ricci. So they both looked equal and the 2-mon was safe to dealer. So we're going to end with 2 Tenpai.
We're going to do a repeat.
Oh, wow. Do I smell a Ryuiso?
Oh, that's what I was thinking too.
Ryuiso Suanko Tonki? Who knows? These things can happen. Especially with the other shapes and the other suits being bad.
Yeah, for now,
No,
Honitsu Hatsu. But there's a
that's
2.
oh. Alright, yeah, committing at least to the Onitsu. Cool.
I think so. Say
You definitely
a 3 so were to come out right here, or even a 7 so. Are you calling for a fast tempai?
probably the
Each.
3 Tenpai early on. Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, we
We
didn't
have a
even.
9-mon 7 so Tenpai across the table for Richinomi.
But as dealer, I think you're still going to push against this. With
Oh, absolutely. With an Ishanten like this, it has the value. Oh, there's the Tenpai.
Dama Mangan. Hatsu Honitsu.
I wonder, do you
version.
pawn the 6 so it comes out, giving you upgrade options to Ryuso?
I kind of like that the 8 so is now Genbutsu. Oh no, yeah, you could switch to
Oh,
Itsu.
yeah, Itsu. I think now, yeah, you give up on the Ryuso to take the Itsu. Menhon Itsu Tenpai doesn't though. The 5 so is relatively safe. Do we take the... Okay, so that's the pawn we're talking about. Decides not to take it, just plays it orthodox. Yeah, would need a couple tiles for Ryuso, but for example, if you pawn that 6 so, drop the 1 so, and then drew the 8 so, or the 4 so, or you can pawn the 4 so, then you'd have Ryuso Tanki Tenpai.
I'm trying to think how the draws would have switched. You would be drawing, all the tiles from across the table. Even had a second chance to switch, but chose against it.
Yeah, the Menhon being 1 Han more
Sumo.
feels a lot better. Unfortunately, it's the Sumo across the table on the same 7 so. I'd be disappointed looking at that.
Absolutely.
It's such a great hand. 13-26. No order. Moving right along, we have the double tone pair in dealer's hand here. Couple of decent shapes now with that 4-pin draw. Once again, Dora 1 mon. Kind of hard to use and none across the table yet. Uncle draw on the left, looking like a Chitoi, possible San Uncle, maybe even Su Uncle with perfect draws. Crossed away, looking like your standard Ricci, maybe Pinfu. Though you'd have to junk one of those 3 pairs. Maybe Itsu now. And then over on the right, also kind of an Uncle land. You have all those opportunities to draw into the Uncles or further pairs to try and convert it to Chitoi and get some value out of it.
Once again, around where the 1 mon is the Dora, and they are nowhere to be found.
Yep. Also, no East in anyone's hand yet, so that's still up for grabs. If you draw the East, you're really happy here. Oh, now with the Chitoi option. Decides to Katagiri the 5-pin, potentially trying to set up a Sotogawa trap where at the early 5-pin makes people think that you're less likely to cut it from a 4-5-5 so early on in your hand. And now Ishanten dropping a 2-mon pair.
Still allows you to retain the 1 mon if you draw it.
Right. Though I think even if you do draw it, you're not too happy about it because there's 2 3-mon discarded by Toyman already. And we see the pawn on the left of that Hatsu. Moving into Ishanten has options to shift into Toy potentially. Oh, there's the door and it goes right out.
No hesitation on that discard.
No time. You see 3 of the 2-mon and 2 of the 3-mon, so it is rather hard to use. Alright, Ishanten. No con made yet. Had the option to con, but then you drop the 6-7 so Ryanmen. The Ka is playing very disciplined here. And keeps the twice cut west for safety.
Here we go.
Each.
And there you go, 5-8. There's 5 visible, 2 in the pawns, 3 in the hand, so that's 3 left. 1 5 so, 2 8 so.
Bichen usually plays reasonably defensively, but as dealer,
Yeah, dealer with a not only a good Ishanten, but a callable Ishanten that can
Mhm.
fight, is happy to push the quote-unquote long Suji to the 2-mon discarded, and then that makes the 5-mon Nakasuji, and is rewarded with that 6-0 tone Shampon. Still no Easts out yet, and it's really late.
he pots. Oh, there it is.
Oh, there it is. Oh,
Oh, it comes out.
whoa,
No.
comes right out. So Ash gets into the Ipatsu. It's painful. It's the double East. Reach Ipatsu. Double tone. No Ura, but still a Mangan. That's gotta sting. Alright, so Beachin once again breaches 40k early on in the game. And again starts with a double tone pair. Once more with none of them in the hands yet. This time though, the door is easier to use and there's already 2 of them gone.
3 now. With Dustin's draw, might be aiming for a Tanyao type hand. Of course, we have the Hatsu paired up on the right, but one had just come out. We'll hang onto it for now because there's still one left in the wall.
Right, and it makes for good defense later, even if you don't end up using it as a triplet.
The hand's actually kind of getting close to temp by now, although you have that awkward 8-9 penchant in the Sozu.
Right. Pichen over here, kind of in a crossroads between the Chitoy and the regular hand, though I think these kinds of shapes generally favor a called normal hand, especially with the East pair. Still none of those shown yet, but we do have the Yakuza up on the left.
Yeah, passes the first tune for Oliver.
And now it has to decide again. If you toss the 5-pin, you can't accept Dora anymore. However, you are Ishanten from Chitoy. I guess you can still Dora Tonki.
Oh, more decisions.
And now, yeah, you gotta imagine the 6-0 comes out, because now you can go for Sananko, Dabuton. You can still go for Chitoy.
Dustin
If you draw the
across.
3-mon, or you can think it, Suanko.
Yeah.
Only one left, though. Oh, and here's the Ton. Well, the middle of row 2 comes out anyway. And I imagine you just see the Ton here, and you toss the 3-mon, and you have a double terminal Shago. There's 2 out already, but it's hard to pass that.
We will get the extra foo, of course, so not just 2,900. 39 instead.
39. And it's 39 on a run or it's sumo because you have the Anko of the 5, so adding 4 food to the hand, plus other 4 from the Ton.
Exactly.
And an open triplet of terminals is worth 8 concealed, 4 open.
And of course, Dustin finds Tempai across the table on the 5-8 mon. Oh. Cass just drawing all of the dangerous tiles and deals in.
Yeah, cuts the bad shape out of the hand and unfortunately deals in for it.
Alright, East 2, repeat 2.
Dealer's hand, not quite as exciting without those tones this time, but if you look over on the left, we see a visible Honitsu. Could even have called that. Doesn't, it gets rewarded immediately with the East pair. So looking at Yaku Yaku Honitsu, maybe even Toy Toy. And there it goes. The suit isn't even revealed yet because, as of now, Oliver has only discarded Sozu. So there's no real signs that this has to be a Honitsu. Could just be a fast Yakuhai hand. Dealer has been drawing well, though.
Well, up to 4 pairs now.
Yeah, and if you draw the Tuso and you draw the Tuso again, you're in perfect shape for Richi Pinfu Ipeiko. You can, of course, also draw the Dora 5-so. Cut down one of those pairs. But they are Mochi Mochi at the moment. Not these pairs, but the East that we were talking about earlier is Mochi Mochi. Because both Shimocha and Kamicha have a pair. So it's doubtful that either of them will come out unless we see a Tanyao shift.
There is a possibility that that might happen for Kaz. Or
Right,
maybe not
yeah,
necessarily Tanyao,
absolutely.
but Pinfu is also possible. Oh,
Now it might, because you get the chance for Tanya without the tones,
Pom.
but at the same time, you can all the tones if you don't mind giving up one of the round. That's what happens here. And that gives a small boost to the Honitsu player across the table, who is now Ishanten. Decides to keep the 9-so, because the 3-mon are almost gone. So even if you draw 1-mon, it's not great, and you also see 2 of the 2-mon already.
yeah, it's still very disguised as a Honitsu, even though you've made a call in the Manzu.
Right.
Could be a Toy or a number of other things. And the fact that that
All
3
right.
pin is leaving after a 9-mon and a 2-mon disguises it further.
Absolutely. And now you have that safe west tile. Might see a north here. No, tosses back to 7. Playing more defensively, decides that the 6-9-so being so dead and query 10 is not worth the effort. And since the north passed recently, they'll make a good safe tile later.
So the Haku is
I believe
completely safe.
this is Tenpai
Each.
over on the right. Has to drop the Dora for it, but takes the 6-9-mon bait.
Riichi door 2. 4 tiles left in the wall.
But yeah, the 9-mon looks pretty good. Now we have Tenpai from Beach and also on the 4-pin Donkey.
Chitoi.
Not willing to push the 4-pin, of course, because the Haku is dead. And now 2 5s await on the left. Unfortunately, has to devalue. But maybe hoping that the 2 or the 5 comes out from one of the other players since they're both Genbutsu.
Mm-hmm. Here's a 2.
There's one probably coming out.
Sumo.
Figgy
Oh,
10
but it was
prevents.
Fuyuten, yeah.
Yeah, and Sumo instead for Riichi. Sumo door 2 Noda, but that's still a Mangan for Kaz. And, well, we see sort of a repeat, almost, of what happened in the last game. Beachin
Yeah,
going out
evens
to
the
the
playing
early
field.
lead, and then Kaz catching up.
Another kind of Honitsu hand to the right here. Pair of double tone across. Over on the left, very Pinfu looking shapes, and then dealer's hand also kind of Pinfu could shape up to be a 2-3-4 Sanshoku with the 4-mon draw. Dora is the Haku, decides to keep it.
Could use that as a pair
Right.
later in the hand.
And look at these draws, we're already looking at Minhon Ipeiko, maybe even Chinitsu on the right.
It hasn't really signaled anything to the rest of the table just yet.
No, it's so early, started with so many, and just hasn't had to scrap anything too suspicious. Unfortunately, with that 9-pin pair drop, keeping the Haku Dora, you can't immediately use this 7-8-so, because that 8-so is locked in as the pair. Could go to headless though, and that allows you to pair up the Dora and move into Ishanten.
And across the table, Oliver also aiming for a Honitsu.
I think we have a Chinitsu 2 Shanten on the right, completely concealed so far.
So many of the upper Manzu tiles are in Beachin's hand on the left.
Probably a pawn there. Oh, decides not to pawn into Ishanten for a Mangan. That's surprising. Especially since the pawn of the 3-mon encourages the 1-mon to come out from anyone who might have it.
Pom.
However, probably sees that Ipeiko and is hesitant to give it up. But yeah.
And across
So
Ishanten now.
Yeah, it's a question of who gets their Honitsu first.
Beachin grabs
We have
Tenpai,
Tenpai.
but
Yeah, not a Tenpai he's willing to reach E4, hoping for a 5 or 8 on draw to get Pinfu Ipeiko.
currently would be the 6-mon, 7-mon Shampoo, but we can see one of both of those tiles has been discarded already, and likely to be some other in the hand across.
Probably was hesitating on that 4-mon
Boom.
discard, deciding whether to Smogiri Reach or not because it does Suji trap the Shampon. Oh, we have Tenpai across the table, 147, and it might come out.
롱.
Does
There it
indeed.
goes.
Just 39 for the
Give the
Onitsutomo.
39. Unfortunately, because of that hesitation on the call from before, the Manzuchini to the right wasn't able to complete in time.
Into East 4. I'd be pretty pleased if I had this dealer hand.
Absolutely, especially with that draw already in Ishanten. For Pinfu Dora 1.
Can we
And
find
we
an
see there's
ace, though?
still, yeah, there's still 3 in the wall.
Hand to the right a little bit messier, but still no chances.
It's an unfortunate draw of the 7-mon right after cutting 1 there, because if you had the foresight to know that you draw that other one, you'd gladly cut the 7-9 so into a perfect Ishanten at this point. But yeah, no way you can know that. Just unfortunate. Yeah, definitely very disjointed hand across. And same to the left. Another 1-mon door, by the way. So 1 in someone's hand by this point. And headless Ishanten for dealer. Hoping to draw the 7-9 so to get that Pinfu in good shape, Ricci. Unfortunately, we see all the remaining 7 so, and now 2 of the other 9 so.
All of a sudden that weight became much worse, but this is not bad either. Potential no
Yeah. Takes the Nobaton. There's some routes into Itsu on the 9-mon draw. The Nobaton is great here because you cut the 7-mon so early, so it seems so unlikely that you'd be waiting on the 8-mon.
And 2 back-to-back 7-mon. And having the 3rd in hand makes the 8-mon really hard to use. The rest of the table
Still into Ishanten.
Yeah, sort of clawing their way to catch up to the dealer's initial speed.
Sorry, 2 Shanten, I misspoke there. Could potentially get an Itsu.
Another pair for Kaz, and this is Ishanten now for Chitoi.
Besides to keep twice cut Haku, sorry, 3 times cut, so the efficiency is impacted quite a lot. And there's only 2 tiles you can pair up now, but you know it's completely safe.
How you can switch back to a normal hand and maybe make
Each.
Ipeko, but dealer reach first.
Yeah, one of those 2 Nobatons filled in, and we have Reach Pinfudora 1.
3-6 so's the weight. Lots of those in
Unfortunately,
hand.
there's only 1 left.
It's a bit awkward.
It is the 3-so. No, there's a lot of 3-so supporters in the chat.
I hope Ennui Tucker is watching and sharing some of the infamous 3-so lore. And that's actually Tenpai across the table, isn't it? With
Yeah, 1-6-0 Shampon. Though once again, we see this repeated trend from Pichen of not wanting to chase with a bad weight, and it's once again completely justified when you have a nice position like this and no value in the hand with bad weight. You definitely don't want to be chasing a dealer with that. Keeping Tenpai, you want to if you can. Whether the 6-mon comes out or not is the question. Decide to play it safe.
and you can't
It is a
blame
live
that
middle
decision.
top. Yeah, absolutely not. That's also very weird to see an 8-mon that much later after the 7-mon.
Right.
I wonder if there's any shenanigans in Manzu.
Oh, Oliver found
Nice to draw.
Tenpai.
Yeah,
At
at
the
the
very
last
end.
second.
There we go again. Ooh, I like this.
Oh yeah, this is a beautiful starting hand. Yaku Yaku Honitsu, maybe even Shosangen if you get the Haku. Of course, we see 2 of the Haku already. So that's bound to end in disappointment.
That's
Boom.
impressive. Chooses to discard the Dora South immediately.
Yeah, I
Says,
guess
I've got all the shapes I need.
Boom.
you can still get to Tenpai on the south. I wonder if it's like some kind of camouflage. Oh, I'm not going for Honitsu. I'll cut the door up. Yakuhai on the first turn, but it might have just been a case of overlooking it. Who knows?
Kan.
Yeah, you definitely don't need all of the Khan
And
here.
I feel like Dustin is one of the players in A1 who will insta-con in many situations.
Absolutely. There's no reason to delay there, dealer. You're not in first place. You may as well go for it. You have good Ishanten.
Very wide.
And Tenpai on the 2-5, so. There's still 5 left in the wall. And it's early enough that someone might drop it if they get it. For example, if Oz gets it, it could come right out.
Boom.
And this is, even though you don't necessarily get the extra Yakuhai, still 9600 is pretty valuable.
Yeah, this is in a hand where I'd pawn the second one. The good weight is just worth so much. So even if I get a potential change to Champon, drawing it myself, I wouldn't take that Champon. No reason to mess around with a hand that already has good value.
Sumo.
There we go. Yakuhaya Honitsu for 32 all, plus a repeat for 33.
And another honor-filled hand. Oh my. There's some terminals in there too.
Yeah, I believe this is 4 Shanten from Kokshi.
9 in a pair.
Sorry, 3 Shanten after this discard.
Probably taking a moment to count everything up. It's really awkward, especially if you were to draw another one, and now another pair.
Probably 8, so. Oh, it goes with the Ton. Okay, it makes sense.
I think I probably would have made the same decision after pairing up the Tumon, but still severely tempted for some type of Chitoi or Honroto incorporating the door 9 pin.
Over on the right, we just got a 4th pair draw, but breaks another pair elsewhere, aiming for a Stanyo. So that pair does come right back.
Yeah, 4 pairs also across the table, but that also looks like could be a standard hand as well.
Right. This is what some players would call a Toitsuba, a hand very heavy on pairs, and sometimes if you have a lot of middle tile pairs, they end up blocking sequences from completing elsewhere, and so Chitoi and hands like that become more prevalent.
The tile that didn't fit those shapes was the door, and it comes out.
Oh, we have a nice 2 Shanten on the right now, all good shapes.
Ishanten across the table as well. Oh, Haku is a great draw.
Tenpai. And this is a bad weight, but you can even pawn the 8-so and go to a Tonki on the 8-mon, and it looks fairly live because you see 2 of the 9-mon to the right.
I think that's what we're going to see right here. Of course, that Tonki can switch up to any other tile. Well,
absolutely.
Probably not ones that you've discarded already, but just about any other tile. No, no.
Yeah.
Switches to the 3 pin.
3 pin. That's interesting.
Boom.
I don't know if I like it as much just because the 3 pin is a middle tile, but as you can see, it paid off because that pawn happens and you go, haha, I knew it. They already had 2 of them. But it then switches once again to the 7-so, which looks a little bit better because you see the 9-sos and the 8-so. That's the nice thing about Tonkis, they're very dynamic.
And there you're wishing you had the Dora back.
Yeah, it was too early to tell at that point, but that would have been nice.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, there we go. Another Mangan.
Dustin kind of running away with this game.
Absolutely, dominating the table at this point.
Boom.
And another not too terrible hand can already accept Dora. However, we see it's Beachin across the table who's immediately going to start to contest that. Maybe going for a Pinzu Honitsu, or if he draws the Dora, just a normal hand. Looking to the left and the right. Nothing too significant here.
Both hands can incorporate the Dora 7-so, but have to find it first.
Oh, there it goes. Perfect draw. And it's also worth noting that the dealer has a chance for 7-8-9 Sanshoku.
Would you start to commit to it if you saw an 8 of either of the missing suits come out?
It is callable and you can guarantee it, so it's not that terrible, but I want something else in my hand to improve first. Like here, now you can toss the 4-mon or the 9-pin. 9-pin is kind of the very efficient play there. You keep more avenues open. But it's not like the 4-mon does a whole lot either, unless you want to break that pair up.
Yeah, you already have 3 Yamen shapes, so it's not like you need another one. But dropping the...
Yeah, it goes to 6 blocks now. So as soon as one of the Yamen completes, you'll have to cut another one, but for now you'll have a temporarily increased Ukeire. Could technically slide to 6-7-8 Sanshoku still. And now has to decide. He decides to cut the 2 5-so Yamen, maybe thinking that it's close to the door, so it's less likely to come out from other players.
Yeah, I thought maybe you might come out from the Manzu shape, given that overlaps a bit, but if you do draw the 5-mon, then you have a very nice 3-sided weight.
Right. I guess the only problem is that 2 of the 2-mon are out, so the acceptance that's exclusive to that 3-4-mon Yanmen is already half gone. So it's not quite as good as it looks. But yeah, like you're saying, if you get the 5-mon, you get that nice Sanmei-chan.
I like the 9-mon choice here, because now if you draw the 6-so, you can potentially have Tanyao and Sanshoku, just have it all.
Right.
We were talking about that potential Pinzu Honitsu across the table. That's shifted to hopefully just Yakuhai Dora 1.
It looks like the other Hakus are still alive. Oh, we have Tenpai now. Takes the shovel. See, the 1-pin is technically dead, but the Haku is both in the wall.
Two-pin helps Oliver's hand on the right. This is Ishanten down.
It no longer has to worry about
Each.
dropping that 1-pin, which would have dealt in. But it's a Rishi from the dealer, drawing the penultimate 2-mon that puts them in a good shape.
5, 8, 9. Oh, perfect.
相撲
Oi, Patsumo! Takes a second, but here it goes. Richi Patsumo, Pinfudora 1.
Uda? Yes! So another
Absolutely
massive
no
hand.
break.
So where the last game was Kaz's game, this is definitely Dustin's game. Almost up to 70,000 points, and we've seen Dustin do this before.
Alright, and that's what a high win rate will do for you. The dealer repeats are painful. Keeping control of your dealership is a great skill to have. You have to know how to intimidate the other players and then balance the efficiency at the same time. And so far, Dustin has been doing a great job of that.
Might not be able to retain the dealership for long, though. Looks like the hand to the right is very fast.
And the current dealer hand isn't that great. There's no real Yaku that you can get out of this without Richi and its bad shapes. Oh, just as I said that, there goes the Haku. But even if you do call the Haku, you're going to have to hope for improvement elsewhere to have a realistic chance at winning this. Slight improvement to the hand on the right. But it doesn't really need it because that Anko's formula, there's already a pair elsewhere.
And of course, I'm
You're also
sure...
hoping... Oh, sorry. Yeah,
I think we're thinking the same
for,
thing.
Yeah, the 3, 4, 5 Sancho.
Exactly. And now we can maybe even think about making Tanyao instead.
Oh, yeah. That's an option. I guess the problem is you lose the Ramen Ishanten, which is significant if you're aiming for Richi while in last play.
There's
But
still...
yeah, the Tanyao I think is
Come on.
worth it. You're looking for every point you can get.
And there
Otherwise,
are
it's Irichi Nomi.
definite upgrade paths here. You could draw into Ipeko to go along with Sanshoku and a number of other things.
Could even go for Sananko here if you're super duper greedy. Seems like that's the case. You're looking for Richitanyu, Sananko, Tsumo. And then, you know, you have 3 chances to draw Ura 3. And you can also get Ipeko or Chitoi.
Well, this is technically Tenpai,
It
but
is, yeah.
wants a little bit more out of this. Shampoo weight isn't also amazing either. 6-pin 3-so. Oh,
And
Tenpai
that
on the
might
left.
give Dustin a little time to progress this slower hand.
I wonder if Kaz will actually... Oh no, there's 3 of the 4-pin are out, so even though there's the extra door indicator, still probably doesn't want to declare this reach. See if he even gets the chance to.
Yeah, Dustin forges ahead here into Ishan 10. Doesn't have any guaranteed Yaku, but could still shift this into Toy Toy. And of course, if you get the Haku, you're good to go. Improvement is got in the form of a Shampon. So we have 8-pin 7-so Shampon, 3 of which are live in the wall.
Chi for Tenpai across the table, Beachin aiming for Itsu, door 2.
I think that's going to be a 3-so. Oh, it's 1 chance. But plays it safe with the Genbutsu. Probably going to push that. I was going to say Tsuji. And now we have Tenpai for Dustin as well, waiting only for the Haku because the 9-so doesn't give Yaku. So even if it comes out here, it's not going to be a win.
Oh, and it saves Kaz.
By the 1 turn. That's temporary Furuten. However, the other Haku might come out. But it's the 8-pin. The 8-pin looks pretty live.
Yeah, it looks bad. Oh, and Dustin still gets it. Incredible.
Wow.
Temporary Furuten did not call the Haku and try to switch the weight. Instead, just trusted that the other one would come out.
The other nice thing about not calling the Haku there is that you get safe tiles if you draw something really cursed.
That's true.
Alright, well that hand that looked like it really didn't have much of a chance to win here ends up being the only hand that could win.
And I'm just getting flashbacks to the first time Dustin did this and scored over 100,000 points. Like, the same thing was happening.
I mean, keep in mind, guys, this is only East 4. There's still plenty of hands to go, so that is a definite possibility.
But even here, this looks pretty reasonable for dealer paying for chances, and you've got a Dora.
And part of this is the side effect of Ash not really being able to afford going for fast, cheap hands. Need some value to get themselves back in the game if they want to keep their 44-point position, 7th place now. If you drop a little, it's not terrible, but you prefer not to. And so you have 1 less player that's going for speed, and it gives the dealer just that little bit more of an advantage to repeat.
Well, 2 away from Tenpai, or rather, 2 away across the table with Beachin's hand. Potentially Peiko, and there's a Dora.
And it's a headless 2-way, so if you draw the 5-pawn, you have a really, really wide acceptance.
Tanya brewing to the left, and in 2nd place, I think Kaz has the incentive to call for a faster hand.
Yeah. Yeah, that's also another thing that can happen. If people aren't playing for speed or they're being too greedy, you can slow down to the point that the dealer's just going to keep repeating with whatever they have, because the dealer doesn't care. They're just going to take whatever points they can and go again and again and again and rack up those Honba. I mean, we're at 5 Honba now. And the dealer is already Ishan 10 again.
Does need the 4-mon for Tanya. But Tenpai for it right now. There's 1 left in the wall.
We see that all the 1-mon are bound, so there's no chance of a 30-10 by drawing the wrong side. Do any of these 4-mon look like they will come out, though? Not really.
No.
Well, for Tenpai is enough to repeat. Beachin doesn't toss it because that does form the pair for the hand. One case where you might see it tossed is if there's a 2-mon or a 5-mon drawn. Just because then that increases the acceptance of the hand so much.
You could also aim for Painfu and drop the 1 as well. We see Tenpai on the right for Tanya. Oliver finally saying enough is enough.
Alright, put an end to this madness. I'll take what I can
Sumo.
get, go into my dealership.
It's Kaz who finds the Sumo instead. Another Tanya Dora plus the
Yeah,
Sumo.
so Tanya Dora one. That was a... Is it just the 5-mon or the 2-5-mon? I wasn't paying attention.
I also didn't have a really good look at that hand.
Either way, we do move along. Finally, the Reign of Terror has ended for now. Dora is west. We see one of those on the left and a pair of it on the right. A hand that already has 3 pairs. Could go for Chitoi to easily use both of them.
Hand to the left with a perfect penchant fill. Now Ishanten.
Yeah, Ishanten and...
Potential Dora Tonki.
Yeah, it is Kutsuki, so you can also draw something like Kimon and take a happy Kingfu, but
Yeah,
I
Sancho
think you just,
Victory.
yeah. I wonder about keeping that 7-pin just because it widens your chances to get a pin for Tenpai, and because you're so far in the lead, you don't really care too much about the Dora. You'd rather get rid of it early.
Although Dustin might be thinking about just, with this big lead, keep running it up.
True, if
1
you draw the Dora yourself, you're perfectly happy. Now your Tenpai is going to take the Dora Tonki Richi,
We do see
and
that.
that's going to be big trouble for Toyman.
If you start to run out
As
of
it-
safe tiles, then you might think, having the pair of West is reasonably safe as a discard.
And we see Kaz here goes for the 9 so. That's been 3 times drop. Also had the option to go for the Suchi 8 so or the 2 so. I imagine those are all eventually going to come out, but if Kaz reaches Tenpai, short of somehow shifting around to Dora Tonki, it will deal in.
To the right, Bishan's got the pair. Ishanten also for Richidora 2.
And now Oliver Ishanten guarantees the Tanyao by cutting the 2 so even though it cuts Kamarayan, and also prevents any chance of Fumitan on the previously discarded 1 so. Unfortunately, we see the rest of the 3-pin, and they're locked in pretty well.
This is Tenpai now.
リーチ
And Bishan chases. 4-pin is the weight. Richidora 2. Not quite the Sanshoku, but it got close.
And that does kind of seal away most of Dustin's weight. Leaves only the chance of Toyman dealing in.
And Kaz find enough safe tiles against both of these Richis.
Wider Ishanten now for dealer. Unfortunately, if Tenpai is reached on the 2-5 pin, that will also deal in.
There's a Kabe of 7 so now, so we might see the 8 eventually, but 9's probably a little safer first.
Could change to Tenpai, but
Let's it go.
yeah. I don't know. I know from our perspective that deal's in, but losing the last dealership so far behind, I probably would have cheated that.
At the very least, recognized that Pinzu were dangerous and dodged it, so nicely spotted by Oliver.
Over here, dealer with the 789 Sanshoku lined up. And that, of course, will include the 8 on Dora over on the right. Also, 789 Mon completed already. Decent shapes and opportunities for Pinfu here. Now forms a round con. Across the way, Dustin I call it a mid-tier hand. It has its shapes. It has a path to Ricci, but it's not terribly fast. And then on the left from Oliver, we have a maybe 3/4/5 Sanshoku Tanyao brewing. Now draws the towel near the Dora, decides to cut the 8, so.
These hands definitely looking a little bit on the slow side. Except for maybe the one on the right. Oh, that 8-pin is great draw.
Absolutely.
Now there's even paths to Junsha and Sanshoku.
And that's callable, of course. You can call anything here now. You can call the 4-pin if you really want to. You see 3 of the 1-pin out already. I think what would be ideal is just drawing the 2-3-pin, making that the pair, and then you still have paths. Well, you have a guaranteed Junshan Sanshoku at that point.
At least the Sanshoku part of it. Oh, you draw a Dora here.
I think, yeah, the 5-pin. And then
Now
you
you
still
might not
have,
end up getting the Sanshoku after all.
right.
But, you know, Ricci Dora 2 is just fine as a dealer.
Oh,
リーチ
and Tenpai. I think, yeah, you just take the Ricci here.
リー
And
チ
immediately a second copy fills in that Kanchan, and we have a chase on the 2/5 bunt weight, which is definitely better in this case. There's still 6 left in the wall versus 2 left in the wall.
Ricci being for Dora on the right. Ricci Dora 2 for dealer. Just seems
Well,
like
now it's Suji to both.
Yeah, it seems like just a matter of time before the wider weight fills, but we've seen so many times the Penchon beating the Yamen weight.
Still 5 left. Oh, now there's only a single 1 left, but it fills in a
Sumo.
shape, and the 6 so can be safely passed. So that 2-man wins Sumo first.
Budo would make
Sumo
Mongon.
Pinfudor 1.
Does not find it though, but still
Wow.
lots of 6 in the middle.
Yes, absolutely. That puts Kaz over 30k.
So now clear second place.
Seems like we went really fast from that East 4 repeat hell
Oh,
yeah.
into South 3 now.
And we'll get one more chance for Dustin to climb again as dealer. And
Or
all
the
last.
Ishanten, actually. Drawing the 7 so gives a nice 4/7 so weight for Pinfu. Doesn't even have to reach you with this many points. So I
チ
imagine if the 7 so is drawn, we might see Dustin Ricci has that greedy tendency.
Interesting hand on the left though, Bichen, aiming for the Honitsu here. Honitsu Yakuhai Yakuhai. North has yet to be seen.
Ishanten can draw, pawn the pay, but we can see that they are once again Mochi Mochi,
Oh, there they are.
Dustin's hand. So Kaz rejects the penchant there, only wants better shapes that can work towards Pinfu, towards Tanyo. And we see Tenpan on the left. Both weights will guarantee an extra Yakuhai, so it's a guaranteed Mangan.
Will you con if the 3 so comes out of Dustin's hand?
Sure. There's really not a whole lot of risk here. And you have a hand worth fighting for. It's actually even a hand that can fold if absolutely necessary, though I don't think I'd end up folding this. Oh, there goes the con.
It's beautiful.
Makes the North Dora. So we have Hanuman now. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Falls just short of a
Yeet.
Baimon if you get the North.
Reach from 4th place.
Oh, yeah, but you gotta push.
Yeah.
Bichen, I guarantee you, does not like that push, but you know, it's not a hand that you give up with after 3 calls.
Tenpai for Hanemon. It's a push in almost every situation.
Wonder if we see the Norths come out. Seems kind of dangerous though. Versus a 3-call hand like this that could very easily be Honitsu.
Mm-hmm. You know, Pei Tanki would not be a surprise either.
Dustin has been able to maintain. Oh, there it goes. So we have the Hanuman.
12,000
3K, 6K.
points plus a reach stick moves Beechin really close to getting over that 30k mark. Also importantly,
Yeah.
drops Kaz below that mark.
Right, yeah, that was the right time to win a Hanuman because Kaz was the dealer and paid twice as much. I move into all last. So Dustin in first place here doesn't care what happens really. Probably fine with just letting the game end. Especially with a hand like this, which is very clunky and slow and no value and probably a bad weight as well.
Oliver on the right really wants to make something out of this, but these are the wrong pairs of honor tiles.
I mean, maybe Kokshi if you are super duper desperate here, but
How many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a pair?
and then both of the other players are just looking for fast light hands. We need 3,600 on the left, so 3 Hana east. And across the way, just 2k. Dora is kind of hard to use in an open hand here, though. Without Akadora, it means that they're both probably going to be aiming for some kind of Ricci.
Dustin might be shifting towards Tanya here, which would certainly speed things along.
Maybe seeing the 7-pin or the 1-2-pin drop. Yeah. So, of course, the danger of trying to force a Tanya is that you're left with a lot of middle tiles in your hand. But with this much of a point buffer, it's not too much of a worry.
Even if you do deal into Mongon, you'll still be earning a plus 45. Assuming that it was Kaz or Beechin that won that Mongon.
Nice penchant fill across the way, moves into 2 Shanten.
Now both...
Probably...
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, probably really, really dreaming of drawing another third 3-pin or a 5-pin there to guarantee the good shape.
Yeah. Of course,
But also kind of, yeah, awkwardly stuck with this north Dora.
Maybe you're not dreaming enough. Dream of the north draw. Guarantee the
That's
good
true.
shapes.
And then you can dominate, you don't have to reach it at.
There we go.
Speak of the devil. Alright, keeps the 5-pin, which is safe as an Inaka Suji against Kaz. Though the Genbutsu 9-pin is even better.
Home.
We're now calling. Looks like Toy Toy Doritanki. Or
Yeah, or Toy Toy
Tanya.
Tanya.
Yeah.
That would do it as well. Could even get Sanoko. 4-4? Or might come out. Yeah.
Home.
Now you
This is a case where it's interesting that there's the Karagiri there of the 4, so because it does give away information that you probably have tiles near there, whereas if it's Sumogiri, that doesn't really give away anything. So it could be harmful for the final weight.
Fortunate Kaz discarded that 5, so...
Just in the nick of time,
Gee.
yeah. And we have Tenpai from Oliver as well. Maybe not even aiming to win the hand, but hoping that dealer repeats because there's only a single tune that they'll win. But it is Toyman that picks up the win for Pinfedora 2, puts Beechin over into second place that's over 30k. Positive gain. And that'll put an end to this crazy game. So we have, we have Dustin with almost plus 50, Beechin with plus 6, Kaz with minus 6, and Oliver takes an unfortunate minus 48 here. Will drop very close to plus minus 0. I think falls right under where Dustin is currently.
Yeah, and the standings
9.
just updated, so we see the swap of places between Oliver and Dustin, actually.
And now we see after these 2 games, it's kind of like the top 2 players have moved down a little bit, but everyone is still very close to the center.
Yeah, overall, from where we started, Kaz moved up a little bit. Beechin moved up a little bit, and then Oliver and Dustin basically kind of swapped places.
So looking at the time, it is 10 now. I think we can choose to go to either of the other two games.
Yeah, I think maybe let's head to the one that just started. And actually, it is in the middle of the delay. So in about 2 minutes, we can catch the B2 Pool A match, and that's the final games of that table.
All right, so you want to take a very short break?
I'll go ahead and put us on hold. In 2 minutes, we'll come back and check out that B2 match. Stick around.
All right. Looks like the next game just started. So we have Austin, who is dealer. We have Garrick, as the South player. Across the table, we have Matthew. And then lastly, on the left is the North player. We have Christopher. So Garrick is currently in a commanding position for, well, not, he's more tied for first in the B2 Pool A at the moment. Christopher and Matthew are creeping up in 8th and 9th place respectively, and Austin isn't that far behind either in 12th. There is, however, a big gap between Matthew and Christopher. It's 89 versus 137, so the play dynamic is going to be interesting here. It gives Matthew a chance to kind of run up the score while simultaneously taking down his direct point opponent. Anyways, getting into the game here. Oh, just want to confirm we're unmuted, right?
Yes.
All right, good. Getting into the game here, it looks like Austin's hand is shaping up towards an easy pin through. Can still utilize the Dora. over on the right, looking at similar ideas, though it's a lot slower at the moment. Across the way, needs a lot of work to be able to win this. Might think about something depending on what happens the next few turns. And then on the left, a nice draw there into a slightly wider Ishanten on the 147 pin, but decides to keep more suit diversity, so it can pick up Sozu or Manzu rather than the slight overlap in Pinzu.
Is that
Not sure what I meant by suit diversity. You still wait on 2 suits no matter what, but
yeah?
there's less overlap.
I guess I'm trying to think of a good reason to discard the sort of, I guess it'd be 147. Perhaps you keep the Nobetan and try to make a Tanyao happen. You know, pairing
Could
up
be that.
3 or 6, but ended up dropping the 6 pin anyway.
I wonder, yeah, I was thinking of dropping actually the 3 pin because then you can technically slide into a 5, 6, 7 Sanshoku, which actually would have happened the very next turn. Fortunate miss there.
Yeah.
But this is still a really good Ishanten, so.
The door draw complicates things a little bit. Chooses just
Okay.
to slide the Yamen over.
Yeah. Commits to keeping both Dora, which is a smart move, I think. A lot of players would probably think of doing the 3-so first and then maybe picking up the Dora Uncle, but being forced to drop it if they got Tenpai on the 5-8-so. Instead, by doing this, shift to the 2-5-so, you can keep both of them without having to worry about ever dropping it.
Each.
And his Tenpai on the 5-8 mon. We see 6 of those are gone already, so there's 2 left in the wall to draw. And this is Tenpai as... No, it's not Tenpai, it's Ishanten.
For Garrick on the right. Or for
Shaw's in
dealer.
this... For both.
Yeah. So we might see a push. Oh, there's another 8.
Maybe the 8-so first, but it's near the Dora. Could also just fold here. Seems like that's the choice. It does have a slim chance to Mawashi around it safely, since the 6 pin is also safe.
And should another 8-so come out, as it does now, then you can really have a fight for it.
Yeah, you're even happy to call at this point, though with only 8 tiles left. It's unlikely. Alright, back into Ishanten. And if you're willing to push the Suji 7 mon, you can get into Tenpai. Unfortunately, does not manage to call or draw it themselves. So it looks like we're going to have a draw here with 1 player Tenpai. So Christopher picks up a nice 3k, even if they couldn't win the hand. Alright. These 2, dealer's hand is really disjointed here, unfortunately, but does have the opportunity to pair up 3 Yakukai and has a Dora in hand. Over on the right, we see another kind of slow hand. Has a good Ryanman. Maybe thinking of Chanta. There's a couple ways to shift to that, though it's a little slow as well. But when you're kind of behind with a slow hand like that, you may as well high roll a little bit. So I could see it happening. Across the way, we have a hand that, if it fills perfectly, can end up on a Ryanman Wade for Pinfu. You'd have to get the 3 mon and the 6 mon first, though. And then on the left, we kind of have a... it looks like we might have paused here. I don't know if the Tenho
Yeah,
needs
but
to
go ahead and throw a refresh. Tenho sometimes just doesn't want to show us the game.
Yeah. But yeah, over on the left, probably the hand with the least definite direction. I guess now it has the cup there.
See
or that's Toyman, my bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still kind of floating things. Might, if you draw a 7 pin, Dora, and you have Ipeco. Probably
Yeah,
wanted to be Tanya before that, though. For a moment there, I thought we were frozen again, but...
Yeah. Oh, nice drop in the dealer. Picks up their pair. That's a nice 2 Shanten. And also a nice draw there. So this is the Ipeco we're potentially thinking about. Unfortunately, we know that the last 7 pin is gone. However, that doesn't kill the hand, because you could still end up tossing the pin and rotating to some other shape. For example, a 7-mon draw.
Uh-oh. The 6-pin draw kind of confirms that Ipeko might be the best route, but instead,
Right.
Rishi by Garrick first.
And that 6-mon coming out right before it would have dealt in. Still 5 left on the wall, 6-9. And this is a reach pin to Ipeko door 2.
And this is one of those situations that we saw in the A1 match. You've got Magan.
Luckily, manages to slide away from it. That 9-pin is safe, so the pair is going to come out. Oh, and then gets stuck with the 6-mon right after. That kind of kills the hand.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to finish this now without dealing in.
So I think, yeah, you just stick with the 9-pin again.
No.
Oh, and the Masuji comes out. Unfortunately, it goes into a large hand. It's coming on with a single Ura. Only pays the 12k, but it's still a tough start. So I found that a little surprising because Austin has actually a really low dealing rate of 4.1%, so I wonder what the incentive to push that 9-mon was over the 9-pin.
I feel like for the majority of this season, and even the last season as well, the inaugural beta season, Austin has played very defensively. But recently, in this set of Hansha in particular, has been playing a little bit more aggressively than usual. And
It might be a push to getting closer to the promotion zone, because actually I forgot to mention this, but because this is the beta league, this is the like next to last game.
Yes.
So has to play very aggressively. Still felt like a kind of losing case there, though, with the hard to fill shapes, but still, I can understand the reason now.
Yeah, if they hadn't been able to complete, it would have also been, let's see, Ipeko, door 2, potentially Pifu, or potentially Tanyao. So that could have been Mangan.
And very similar to what the dealer had there.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, speaking of the dealer, already in Tushanten here, another kind of Pinfu. Opportunities to shift to Tanyao.
Matthew hoping to not let this hand get out of, or let this dealership get out of hand, and makes 2 fast calls, Ishanten for East only.
And this is a headless Ishanten, so drawing any of the 2, 3, 5, or 6-pin will in Tenpai. Could call into Tenpai here now. Ends up on a awkward Tanki, but like we saw in that previous game, this is really easy to shift to something better. And because you have your Yakuhai, it could be anything.
Like the Dora.
Excellent. And I think that's probably not going to change for a long time.
No.
There's 3 left on the wall, too. Just great. There's one of them. And we see that the 6, 7, 8 completed sequence is dropped by Austin, aiming to make Chitoi incorporating the Dora.
And that would be the right move.
Also drops the 5-mon, maybe even defending against the player across who has 3 call.
Yeah. And the Dora pair was found by Matthew, so that pushes him along to his dealership. I like the starting hand.
Yeah, it's quite good. There's options to call if absolutely needed. I guess you want to deal with the awkward 6, 8, 9-mon first. And you still need to form a block elsewhere.
That's kind of interesting.
But drawing
pair is going to end up being, could be the 4-mon, could be like a 6, 7, 8, 9, Nobetan.
Or Dora
could be
Tanki,
the Dora.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we might see that North retained for a little bit longer than if there was a different clear pair in hand.
Right. Over on the right, we have a nice opportunity for Pinfu Sanshoku Tanyao. 3, 4, 5 Sanshoku.
Mm-hmm.
Retaining that 9-mon because it does give extra ukere of the 8-mon. That's one of those tricky shapes.
Yeah, if you draw the 8-mon, then you can replace the 5-mon.
It's not what you want, but you probably are okay taking it for the Richi Pinfu. Across the way, fills in a sequence, moves to Ishanten. No Pinfu, unfortunately, because it's the West pair and they're the West player. but could potentially shift over to 456 Sanshoku if Austin draws right.
Tell if there's a distant Itsu, distant Sanjoku, but probably aim for reach. But it's the dealer who actually managed to pair up the Dora.
Moves into 2 Shanten and augments the bad 688 shape. Actually fills it right now.
It's perfect Ishanten for Ricci Pink Dora 2.
The West is passed by Austin. Wants to go for a Ricci here to get that value they're looking for in order to move up in placement.
You'd love to draw the 4-pin before finding Tempai.
Might even see the Hatsu here, because now you can draw the 4-pin and move towards Tanyo as well.
Tanya Sanshoku Pinfu.
And Pinfu, yeah, because of the pair replacement. And then you don't even have to drop any dangerous middle tiles late in the hand.
Now
And there doesn't get the 4-pin, but does get that improvement we just talked about.
Could even retain the 2-so, but keep being a safe tile as we've now entered the final row.
Right, and the Entotsu is tempting, but if you get the 4-pin, you're probably just going to shift to 456 Sanshoku and take the more conventional Pinfu as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's dealer that finds Tempai first, though. 2 outs left in the wall, 2-5 mon.
Oh, Dora drawn by Christopher.
Very, very awkward time to get it.
リーチ
Chased by
Now we have
Austin.
the chase. Waiting on 147.
Dora looking even worse.
There's 3 of those left.
The one is Gimbus to the dealer reach, but not the other one. Garrick has safe tiles. And, oh, does
Drum.
drop it.
So that was a 1 chance, I believe. 1 chance terminal.
Just
And
reaching
1
Pinfu's.
passes the rest.
Yeah. So not the most expensive deal in.
So we move on to Christopher's dealership here. Kind of, once again, one of those bread and butter Pinfu style Ricci's. Want to get rid of one of those pairs eventually once your good shapes form.
Speaking about bread and butter, look at the hand to the right.
Oh wow. So we are already
Oh.
Menhon Chitoi Ishanten.
Do you con and go for a toy type hand instead? No.
It's 2 Shanten from Suanko or just a normal Menhon Yaku.
Oh, there's Tempai. And the Haku just came out.
And yeah, you're gonna reach it to tempt
Riichi.
out that Haku.
Oh my
and it looks
goodness.
unlikely to be a Chitoi because you Tsubogiri the South and then cut it to Dashi from in your hand. That's really, really deceptive.
Matthew
I
is in
imagine
such big trouble.
It's instant deal in from Matthew.
Dodges it.
Oh, goes for the Suji 9-pin.
Has 2 of those, so I guess that makes sense. Get 2 tiles of safety.
Goes for the Genbutsu. But I imagine it's gonna come out eventually. Unless other players keep giving safe tiles like this.
Feels like any moment, though. Garrick doesn't exactly have a lot to go off of either. Oh, I guess he has the 3-pin, but really pushing this.
Alright, Garrick is Ishanten now on the 2-5-pin, 9 mon, 5-8 mon. Could even push for Chinitsu technically, going all out.
Could drop 9-mon here now that it's safe. The 4 of the 6-9 pin are out now. 1, 2, 3. Oh, 1 still retained in Matthew's hand. This is Tempai.
リーチ
If you're Austin, you're really disappointed that the other Haku hasn't come out by now, but
No.
there it goes because it is Genbutsu to the one player and relatively safe looking to the other. Fortunately, it deals in for a painful Hanuman. nothing you can do about that. It was super deceptive.
No. And props to Matthew for hanging on to that for so long, in fact. We definitely thought that it would have dealt in much sooner.
Yeah, made the very disciplined play to push a tile that would give 2 turns of safety, then worked entirely off of Genbutsu and Suji. The other players had passed until had no choice but to drop the Haku.
And after that big win, Austin rewarded with a reasonably good high pie. Chance for
Right,
tying out
plenty
has
of
a
options
door.
here. 5-6-7 Sanchoku is still on the table as well. However, it's off on the right that already has a Yakuhai Anko and the ability to accept door twice.
Across the table, a lot of Sozu pairs, and then of course the north pair. But that doesn't look like you really want to make Honitsu out of that.
The 4 players to the left, one of them just formed is the Yakuhai Anko. Yakuhai pair of Hatsu, which might come out soon.
And after that Dila, now there's a bit of a scrum near 30,000, at least between Pint and Liba. Christopher and Austin, I should say. And Garrick only barely ahead.
ポン
We see the first pawn here. Interestingly, decides to discard the 3-so, even though you can still pawn the Hatsu into Tenpai with Yaku, so is forcing the Toy.
The pairs to call here are a bit awkward. 4-so, 7-so, not the easiest to call. And also the 2-mon is the Dora indicator.
Yeah. And not only is it the door indicator of, well, I mean, inherently by being the door indicator, it's next to the door, so people are going to be more hesitant to give it up. Whether you are Ishanten or Tenpai.
ポン
Well, there goes. Can still get back into Tenpai with 3-6-so draw. But it seems likely that if that happened, Christopher might even just throw it back.
ポン
Okay, does get the 4-7 now.
リー
3
チ
left in the wall. And it's the dealer that chases on the 4-mon, rather than taking the 8-mon 3-so Shao.
Interestingly, the 7-so is Genbutsu to this Richi, so if someone were to draw the final one, it might come out.
And of course, the dealer does take the 4-mon weight because that allows them to keep the Dora 3-mon.
Oh, it
Don't
just draws
actually-
it.
Yeah, 7 comes out first, so we're looking at Toy Hatsu for 52.
I'm always hesitant to take a speculative Toy, but we've seen it a lot in the B2 League, and it just sort of pays out a lot of the times.
Yeah, it's a lot more powerful of a Yaku in Akanashi, just because Yaku are that much more important overall. Even the base 2-han can be worth it.
I wonder if we'll see Garrick push this into a Honitsu or just try to aim for more of a normal hand. Seems to be leaning in that direction with the early 4-so discard.
Right.
You could have started with maybe one of the dragons and thought about a 3-4-5 Sanshoku, 4-5-6 Sanshoku, something like that.
That could be the case. I'm always hesitant to give up a Ryunmen, but when you need the value, there's nothing wrong with doing so, and it does make the hand easily callable.
Speaking of calls, Christopher grabs a Hatsu across the table, aiming for just Hatsu only currently, but it has the potential to use a door, it looks like. And then Shu calls to the left.
Yeah, Austin similarly going for that fast hand, but has 2 Dora. Could get Dora 3 with the pawn, and is Ishanten. Deciding now...
6-8 or 7-9-9.
Right, yeah, that's a tough choice. But with the 2 8-sos out, you probably figure that shaving down to the
ポン
7-so is better. And now it takes a Shampon for the Mangan chance. 8-mon still entirely live, one of the 2-sos locked up Shimocha's hand.
And that's actually Ishanten for Matthew on the right.
カンカン
Oh!
There goes
Oh!
the double con into a
Oh
Rinshan.
my goodness!
No new door flips, but that
Well, that's
makes
how
it
you
into
get-
a Mangan.
That's one way to get Mangan. I think that's the first time that we've seen Con into Rinshan in this league.
Right, that's Ren Kaiho. It's actually a local Yaku in some places. A traditional con that you make right before getting the Rinshan is an extra Han.
That is incredible. I'm so glad we got to watch that. So that puts Austin back over 30k, and now things are really tight for first. Con into Rinshan, I'm not sure I've ever seen that live.
There's been one other time that I saw that happen in person during one of my beginner games, where it's actually 3 chained cons into a Rinshan.
Oh my.
And if they hadn't Rinshan there, it would have ended in a draw because there was another con on the table. So they managed to get a triple con Rinshan by Monsumo. It was quite something. And all
Incredible.
3 were done off of the con draws. They were all Shomin cons we added to the pod.
Oh
Stories
my.
aside, look at the hands. Dealer Matthew doesn't have a whole lot going for him at the moment. Lots of really hard to fill shapes, hard to improve as well. Over on the right, we see a Chi Toy, or a Toy Toy, especially with those easy to call pairs, East 1 pin 9 mon. Across the way, we have an Ishanten already. Could be a Richie Pinfui Peiko if the 4 mon, the 4 is drawn first. And then over on the left, we have the Yakuhai pair and a fairly wide acceptance for Sozu.
Home.
But yeah, as people in the chat are noting, yeah, very, very close fight for first.
I wonder, it's South 3 for Austin and Garrick. You're 2,000 points out of first place. How eager you are to call. Now, Garrick maybe... See, I only see 4 pairs right now. So it has Chito as a backup, but also the Chun pair, you might... And especially with Christopher calling, you might need to speed up your own hand.
I'm wondering now, Christopher is going to take the South or the Chun Tanki. Because the South is once dropped, so it seems good to target. But the Chun is completely live also.
Oh, actually, we just saw another South discard from Garrett.
Ooh, yeah.
So.
So now it's most certainly going to be the Chun. 9-pin Tanki is nice, but unfortunately you will be Furitan if you own the 1-pin.
That's true.
Because of the 8-pin, so you wouldn't be able to take that off another player, which is a big disadvantage. Does draw into the shovel though. Only a single 1-pin remains.
Con?
I'm not sure there's very much that would make that Chun pair come out of Shimochi's hand.
Yeah. I was really rooting for a second Rinshan. I wanted to see it happen. The new Dora is the
That would be something.
And that actually helps Garrick out a bunch. He's got 2 of those in hand. And also Matthew has a single of those. Matthew being Ishan 10, although with 2 Penshan, a little bit awkward. And
oh, it's gonna come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did not fit the hand at all. And so this will push Christopher into the lead moving into South 4. Well, retain the lead rather for Christopher.
Yeah, so it's a very cheap toy on the Yasumi there, but it's enough to make a big difference. The deal can easily be passed without any worry of losing to no 10 payments. So whether Christopher will be happy with that is another thing to consider.
Right. This being game 3, so there's one more game after this. And the current first place score would be something like, let's see, plus 23.
That's very respectable, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at the standings.
Immediately jumps you over 2 people, puts you towards 6th place. So you'd get a good shot at getting into the playoffs. Actually, is he in the playoffs already?
Yeah, right now in the playoffs. I think the top 4 are in there.
And this is the last 2 games in this pool. So you don't have to worry about players around you moving.
Of course, trying to make that 200 mark, and at 130 now, you kind of want to get, plus 35. Something along those lines.
Yeah. So 2 Shanten now for dealer.
ポン
Over on the right, also 2 Shanten. I'm not reading it correctly. Boyman going for the Anyao to push themselves over 30k. Looks to be E Shanten. And then over on the left, we have another 2 Shanten, I think. Yeah,
ポン
Austin
Two
could actually
Shanten.
get Tenpai with one good draw. But you'd have
but
to
it's
drop
Garrick that gets it.
5 or 8. Oh yeah, Garrick. Tanyao?
Yeah, Tanyao for a Forso Kanchan will push them over 30k. And Garrick not really caring too much, already holding the first position, so it's fine going for a cheap hand like this.
Yeah, any positive result would be satisfactory. Switches the Ishanten, now it's a little bit wider, I think.
Breaks Tenpai on that 4-pin draw. A little bit surprising.
I wonder if he wants to draw into Tenpai in the Pinzu and then con the 8-so. That would be entertaining.
Certainly would. Breaking to keep that 4-pin though is harmful because all the 3-pin are gone already. Even if you get the 5-pin, it's a very weak weight. Just waiting for the 6-pin, which we can see only has 1 left in the wall. Tenpai again, I think you have to take the Tenpai though.
Really seem to be targeting that con.
So now you're basically going to take a negative if this goes to a draw. Unfortunately.
Oh, finds Tenpai again.
Okay. It does look like a wider weight, but there's only 1 left.
It's an awkward spot for Austin.
Yeah.
But you have a chance at
Right.
Ipeco now. You still are waiting in 4-7 here. To confirm that Ipeco.
Only 3 draws left though.
And that 4-pin
Isn't
doesn't
able
do
to make
it.
Tenpai.
Dealer also not Tenpai, so
Could change here, dropping the 4-pin for the 5, 6, 8, but that would be 3-10. Oh, there's the final 5-pin. Don't think it's going to come out. Yeah, Tuso seemed fine.
does that actually change the standings? Because now Austin deals into 1,000. Garrick actually steals second by 600.
Wow, yeah, that was really close there. Yeah, I'm still a little confused about, like, passing the Tenpai there. The result is the same in the end. Though it was obviously a little more risky. It does pay off, though we have a 3 floating situation, which means that it's only Matthew who takes a negative here.
And we have the updated standings. Garrick still in first place now with a 12-point cushion, and it seems quite unlikely to drop out of the top 4. Would need to lose 51 points to tie with Alex for 4th. So in a pretty secure spot. Christopher with a 22-point win moves up to plus 159. And again, to qualify for the guaranteed B1 slot, would need 40.8 points to tie with Alex. So that'd be another impressive first place finish from Christopher. At the very least, puts a little bit of buffer between him and bigger buffer between him and the next closest competitor for the final B1, B2 playoff spot.
Right.
And then Matthew dropping down to plus 56, still slightly outside that playoff spot range. It'll be very difficult to climb back up there, but at the very least has a guaranteed B2 B2 spot. And then let me do a quick check of the game to see if they've started the next one yet. It looks like they have not.
Yeah, at least one of the players is talking in chat right now, so it might be another few minutes.
I imagine they definitely are going back in that log to look at that Khan Rinshan hand. That was incredible.
Oh, yeah, that was something. And such a clutch moment to do it, too. Wow.
Yeah, moved from a negative score to positive score, I believe, for Austin, who I think that was Austin that won that hand.
And sorry, if you'll actually take over for me for just a second. I have someone at the door that I have to let in.
Oh, yep, go for it. And we do have a little bit of a break before the next match is going to start. It seems they've just started the match, so we'll begin the 5-minute delay. And what I did want to do is take a look at the overall standings for to see where Austin currently sits. It looks like in 12th place that is the B1, the B2, B3 playoff slot, and in order to drop out of that, would need to finish below negative 81. Oh, even if that were to happen, it would still be, yeah. So the B2, B3 playoff spot for Austin is pretty much locked up actually at this point. And so really it's a challenge to make it to a B2, guaranteed B2 slot. And in order to finish there, we need to earn about 60 points. So a very, very tall task for Austin. However, since he is in no danger of losing the playoff spot, can just go all out for it. Does not have to worry about a big fourth here. And so Matthew, in pretty secure position, can go all out as well. Christopher, in pretty secure again, can go all out. And Garrick has incentive to just end this game as soon as possible and lock in that slot. So we might actually see a brawl here if everyone just pushes for everything. I guess the only person who really has incentive to defend is maybe Garrick.
Yeah, Garrick can probably just sit there and do absolutely nothing the whole game and be happy with it.
Mm-hmm. But I think Garrick might also want to push for the 11th win, which I believe would be the high mark in the entire league. I don't think anybody's gotten there. And so maybe a little bit of just personal achievement incentive to push.
And only 2 lasts. Quite impressive.
For both players at the top of this division, Garrick and Peter, 10 firsts, 2 fourths is just incredible. And of course, Garrick with a chance to improve on that even.
All right. I'm going to see if I can't find what happened in the other games that we didn't manage to cover.
They were from the B1 division, right?
Right. Yeah, those would be the B1 games.
Let's see, depending on how much time we have.
So it looks like, at least in the first game, Crow picked up a 44-point win. Andres -2, Albert -11, and Travis -30. So Crow, really not caring too much, I believe, is on the top of that section of the division so far. And then they don't seem to have gotten through their second game yet.
Okay, so we can see the updated standings. Crow still with a massive lead. And who else was in that match?
It's Crow, Andres,
okay,
Albert, and Travis.
Andres, Albert, Travis. Travis in the 5th position is in promotion range. Albert in the 10th position, just out of promotion range, fighting to get in there. So one more match in this session. B1, of course, does have another week to be played, and so you'll still be able to fight with 4 more Hanchan the following week. For the match that we're watching right now in B2, this is your final week unless you find yourself in a playoff match.
Right. The only difference that it's going to really make here is who sits with who. For B1. So Crow, it looks like Crow, Tristan, Travis, and Stanley are currently going to be in a table. I believe it's 1, 4, 5, and 8, and then 2, 3, 5, and 6. So sorry, 2, 3, 6, and 7 will be together.
Okay. And then similarly for 9 through 16?
Absolutely, yeah.
9, 12, 13, 16. Yeah, so we'll have one more game to determine those final standings. I think actually there's another group that has some games yet to be played as well. So still a lot to be determined as far as the B1 placements. let me go ahead and switch back to, I believe it was Austin who was in that top slot. And I'll go ahead and find our game, which is about to begin.
Very cool.
It'll be Matthew who's the first dealer.
Actually, I don't think you've changed the scene to that.
Yes, let me grab that just a second. I'm opening up the
Oh,
match
my
itself.
bad.
Oh, it just started. Perfect.
Oh yeah, so we have Matthew's the first dealer, followed by Christopher is south. We have Austin as Toyman, who's west, and then over on the left we have Garrick as north.
Tenho did not like me joining the game in that moment, but has decided to continue. Oh, you know what? Pint had the opportunity to pull that. We might actually have a disconnect. I think that was a wait on whether or not to make the call on the Northwind. And the
Yeah, I have to agree. Disconnect.
Should be rather unfortunate. Hopefully reconnects pretty soon.
Please
Would have
don't
had two
discard
very
the
nice
east.
drops.
Unfortunately, no way to pause on Tenho. The game must go on, and oh, now a third one. This is painful to watch.
Yeah, those would be 3 beautiful draws.
And it's even more sad because the rest of the hands are very slow.
Mm.
I guess that would be an improvement as well.
Right.
4 perfect draws.
It's almost more interesting to see, you know, how how soon that hand would reach Tenpai than to see the other hands that are progressive.
So you'd have 2-3-4, Mon 5-5, Mon 3-3-4, pin, north, north, east, east. So they'd be an Ishanten, I think.
Finally, I draw that wind top.
No. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess they also had an opportunity for Chitoy.
Likely would have discarded the 1 so earlier.
Yeah.
And again, we should probably be commentating on the on the hands that are live, but I think the players, I think they're intentionally discarding very slowly here.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot that's going on in any of the hands either. You have dealers kind of still in the same position as before. Did just fill that Bandman, but that was the good shape. You don't want to fill that first. Still very flexible though. We see Twinman across the way. Could call for Tanyo. But also it's not guaranteed, and then you have to overlap in the 5, 7, 7, 8 on that makes that difficult to justify. Over on the left, probably has a little bit better of a shot at Tanyo, but also needs to get that 6 so. Yeah, it's very courteous of the other players to be playing a little bit slower like this and try and give time for their playmates to get back.
And of course, we do not know the type of conversations happening behind the scenes, as the players are also connected could be communicating, hey, I'm actually not going to be able to, like my computer's rebooting, it's going to take a while, just go ahead and play this out.
Right. In the meantime, dealer has gotten to Chitoy 2 Shanten. And can also just go for a normal hand, that's 2 Shanten.
Yeah, a lot of
Has
flexibility.
picked up that Dora.
G.
Dora's a little awkward to work with unless you're going for Chitoy. Oh, actually, yeah, no, never mind. I kind of glossed over the fact that that's 3-9, so it's not 2 of them. So there'd be a tile missing. And now as Ishanten decides to drop the door anyway, though. Has a chance for Son Uncle.
Boom.
I suppose, yeah, you could. I always, forget about Son Uncle chance. I was too focused on the potential Ipeko and or inclusion with the 3, so, but
Reach.
this works too.
And Tenpai. 2-9 Mon. Now this always feels a little bit bad to do, especially if you've been nice waiting for them, because the Sumogiri is that much more likely to deal in.
But we did see Haku come out of his hand, so I think he might be back, and it didn't matter.
Doesn't
He pots
matter.
Sumo. Oh,
Wow.
Ura-san.
Well, what a thing to come back to. You look at your first discards, you go, oh no, and then someone Ipatsumoza on him. It's like, that's a nightmare.
Well, that's perfect for Matthew and I. We were just talking about the standings before while you were gone, and what it would take for Matthew to grab a slot. It would be a lot, but 18,000 to start with is where you have to, you know, you're gonna start somewhere. Might as well be with 18,000.
This is a nice hand too, but actually Toyman also has a good Honitsu chance here. He's managed to pull in the Ryakuhai. And even be Honitsu Toy Toy.
Dealer maybe thinking about Tanyao inclusion with the Dora, or Itsu in the Manzu. Hand to the right looks a bit messy, but you've got
A little messy. Decent shapes,
yeah,
though.
you've got shapes and the tune pair.
So you want to draw the 5-pin as soon as you can.
Instead, it's Austin.
Sunshoker.
Yeah, it's Austin who draws the 5-pin and has no use for that Dora. Yes, he's aiming for that Sozu Honitsu. Oh, and there's that 5-pin now.
So where are the souths? The souths are currently walled.
Ooh. Perhaps Garrick recognizing that Austin is aiming for the Sozu.
Yeah, manages to get 2 clutch Kanchanchis of middle tiles that you normally would never expect to come out. And this is one thing, if you notice that someone's going for a Honitsu, you can take advantage of that and build shapes around things that you think they're likely to discard, normally the other 2 suits. So accelerate for a quick hand and kill theirs.
We see a call here from Matthew, also accelerating.
Would move into Ishan 10, though it does complete kind of the easiest to complete shape, the Sanmen-chan. Definitely an okay option to take that, though, and move into Ishan 10.
Well, this is a little bit better now. A lot of flexibility here. And meanwhile, Christopher has found the 3rd tune.
Decides to break away from the 4-5-6 Sanshoku in favor of keeping those.
Well, that's kind of interesting.
No con. And we have Tenpai across the table for the 3, so but 3 of them are already gone.
You can switch
now,
to 3-6.
Yeah, very wide. Oh. I think I personally would have cheated that and taken 3-6 too, even if it's obvious. The resulting weight, the open hand. But I do suppose it's only 1 tile better. You can see 3 of the 6 already. Still, every tile does count. Now we have Tenpai on 2 dealer.
Yeah, so
looking to draw the Dora.
Five for dealer, 4-pin 4 Garrett on the left.
And we have a weight switch. Oh, draws the 4-pin. Now it goes. Tanya Dora 1. 2,000 plus the repeat for 2,300.
That was a very interesting hand, a lot of maneuvering. And it turned out that the Tanya call for Garrett was the right one. Did end up finding everything that he needed from the player to the left.
So Dora here, 7-pin. 3 of them already locked up in separate players' hands. We have some interesting opportunities for dealer here.
Ooh.
There's a... So doesn't like the first 4-mon, but keeps the second one.
So this is Ishan 10, but that's the punish. Ipeko Sanshoku would have been so sweet here with Adora.
Right. Unfortunate. But yeah, I think realizing the mistake, getting it back, and then the backfire with the 7 is unfortunate, but taking the Ishan 10 seems correct.
There's a Sozu call for Austin, so this looks like another... Well, this time it looks like Shinitsu.
Right.
Or...
A dealer.
Or... We can
or
dream about
Junsei
more.
Ryuiso,
This
or
would be the second time that we've
Han.
thought about this.
Han, or wait, you can toss the Chun or the Nineso. And this one seems a lot more likely to get it too.
Hatsu is twice cut.
You can get the 3-so, technically. If you pawn, you end up on a Tanki and then switch to the 3-so. Oh, there's the 3-so. Ishanten for... Oh no, not Ishanten for Ryuiso, but Ishanten.
Oh! Do you con here?
Absolutely. You have a 1-4 weight anyway. And the 6-so doesn't look great to discard. I would have conned there.
I'm so curious to see what the con draw would have been. It's a 2-5 weight on the left for Matthew. Oh, I hate sumos.
Oh no.
I've never been so disappointed to see the Takamitsumo. But what a beautiful hand for Matthew, who only extends the lead. Oh my goodness. We've seen some wild hands.
Unfortunately, the second potential Ryuiso of the night.
So even with the con, would not have won.
Probably not.
Well, would not have found the Ryuiso at least. Could have won though. Also could have given Matthew more Ura.
Yeah, it's difficult because the con prevents you from having to drop the 6-so, but you're not guaranteed to draw into a safe tile to push anyways. Still, with a hand of that class, maybe you consider it. Shinichi is worth pushing for after all.
Well, I do know what I'm going to be doing after this stream is over. I'm going to be checking that log. As it is, Austin, now with the dealership, has...
Yeah, so actually, you know, now I'm thinking about it, when we check the log later, to check if you already had the 3-so parry, because tossing the 6-so might be able to tempt out the 3-so, you can pawn it, wait on the 2-4-so, and then you have the guaranteed 3-so.
Yeah, that is true. 6-so discard, make 3-so Suji. If that comes out, you pawn 2-so 4-so Tenpai. That might have been the thought.
Dealer here, very nice. Pen Kanchan Phil. Decides to keep the Doro though.
To the right, Garrick making the Tanyo shift, but it's across the table. Fast Tenpai for Matthew.
We have a 9-pin 4-so. 9-pin just came out. It is a Richinomi though.
Will Garrick push the second?
Dom.
Does.
It is Suji after all. So Richitatsu. No Ura, so 2,600 for by Matthew.
Who wins it? Another hand is now up to 62,000, over 62,000.
And this is exactly what he needs here. Has been able to avoid the dangerous conflict and taken advantage of his other hands. So here we have the Dora Haku, one in Toyman's hand. Toyman has an interesting Chanta style, and that could be called rather easily. A little less likely now that this 4-6 Mon Kanchan has been accepted. A dealer here also very fast, 5-6-7 or 4-5-6 Hanshoku. And then I'm kind of getting Chitoi vibes from the right. I believe that is 4 pairs already.
Mm-hmm. And now that you've drawn a Dora, you might want to pair that up as well.
Yeah, and then lastly on the left we have kind of Richi Pinfu looking to draw the 6-pin first. Toyman does pawn that Yakuhai over there. Sellers to handle a little bit will have to drop the Dora, unless it pairs up. But if you do pair up the Dora, you could even get as greedy as Hon Haku Dora 3 Chanta for Hanemon.
And maintaining the door in hand, definitely thinking about trying to make a little bit more value out of this. It's a 5th pair now for Matthew.
And yeah, decides to basically just commit to the Chitoi there. If you're a Tsushita fan, You probably discard the 6 pin and go for the double Suji Toitsu chance. But as is, this kind of preserves the possibility for going for a normal hand. So now if you draw something like the 5 so or the 9 mon or the 7 mon, you have 4 outs into Tenpai.
リーチ
We have a Tanyao shift from dealer, also looking for the 5, 6, 7 Sanshoku, but it is that Chitoi that gets there first on the door that it's just discarded.
Technically, Tenpai
And-
here to the left.
Yeah,
Could choose the weight that just came out. Instead, decides to bail.
right. Yeah, you could have dropped the 3 pin Suji and aimed for the 6 pin, but when you're chasing, it's often the better weight that's more important. And since there's no value in that hand, chasing with a bad weight, low value, doesn't seem like something Austin wants. This is another chance for Matthew to creep his way towards that plus 85. Because we're looking at least a Mongon. And on a sumo with 2 Ura could be Baimon.
There is still one Haku in the wall, so it's still possible.
A little bit of an awkward place now for Austin. Really just going to continue with the 3 Mon, and then the 1 Mon, 1 Mon.
Oh, with the
Oh,
last
there's the second Haku. So that's going to kill the weight. And puts Christopher into a Kutsuki Ishan 10. Can draw anything around the 5 pin or the 7 so to get into Tenpai.
could even have called that 4 pin.
That is true. You can do that and you can take the 3 pin Tenchan. Though with 2 gone already, probably was hesitant. Actually would have just died there because there's 2 in Austin's hand currently. Is Tenpai now though? Or, oh sorry, would have been if the
Would have
push was
been,
made.
yeah. Did not want to push these Pinzu tiles and chooses to fold instead.
ポン
Oh, but dealer finds Tenpai right before we hit Yukioku. Just has to pass one more tile, and we know it's going to be safe.
I believe there's 2 more of
Sumo.
those left, so there's a chance for even sumos. Oh, there you go.
Very nice. So Garrick
500 all.
grabs the Ricci stick too.
And a decent starting hand.
Yeah, he could call here. He even have thoughts about Honitsu perhaps, but starts with a 9 pin instead.
Looking at the right, it's a pretty interesting hand as well. A lot of paths for it to take. You can be super greedy and go for Chinitsu, but it can also be Toy Toy or Tanya or Chitoi.
Now, be
There's ways to use the door. Over on the left, we see an Anko of the 4 pin, and then a pair of the Haku, so that could easily accelerate. Especially with this 3 so draw, makes it really easy to form a good group. Decides to junk the 7 mon in favor of keeping the 2 extra Yakuhai chances.
ポン
Does call the first Haku.
And now, this is a little bit of a difficult decision. Interestingly, decides to shave off one of the sequences. I think I'm more a fan of tossing the Ton or the Hatsu there, because that 4 pin triplet can always become a pair if needed. Whereas now you're going to kind of have to find another block somewhere and risk Furuten in the lower Sozu again.
It seems like he's trying to find a little more value here, like searching for a Toy Toy perhaps.
A Toy Toy. I feel like if I'm going to go for a Toy Toy, I'm probably just not going to open the hand because it seems unlikely compared to something like a Ricci.
Oh.
At least with the Ricci, I can get Ura 3. Oh, nice. So it seems like, yeah, the hand on the right has transformed into quite a nice Ishan 10 or Menhon, possibly Dora or Ton, or both actually.
リーチ
Dealer
But a
calls
dealer that finds
for-
Tenpai and the 4/7 Takame Foreman is dead. Oh, no, really wide. Tenpai here on
3, 4, 5,
3,
6.
6, 5. Yeah.
So many of those winning tiles already in hands.
Yeah, both players kind of blocking each other. If anything, it's going to be the 7-mon that comes out. That's
That's
a
Dora.
no chance, but it is Dora.
Let's try to figure out a way to incorporate this into the hand. Just switches sides. Furita now.
All right.
ポン
Might see a pawn here. Goes into Tenpai. Takes the 8-pin Tanki. Decides to toss the live
What's cut?
Hatsu. Once cut Hatsu over the 8-pin. Once cut Hatsu technically a better weight. Insofar as other players being willing to drop it, but
ツモ
Oh, there's the Tsumo. Yeah, that was a really tense situation.
leads to Chunora 2000 all. So yeah, a good example of a very wide weight being very limited because it tiles in the hand and the other players on the table. Oh, I think we're still in the same dealership. I think we
Oh, you're
should go
right.
back to Garrick.
I just sort of autopiloted the switch. I was too busy like thinking back at that Honitsu hand and thinking, did we need that Dora? I think it was Mongon regardless, unless you draw a second Dora.
Yeah,
East
I think it was
Honitsu.
entirely a decision motivated by the safety of that tile.
Let's see, it was East Honitsu. Oh, it's just East Honitsu, so the Dora does make it Mongon.
Right. Of course, it's a big disadvantage to not be able to run it, especially against a Ricci player who could easily drop your tile. But the fact that the Tumon looked so safe against things like Kanchans, Penchans, and Ryanmen meant that if it does deal in, it's likely going to deal into a Tanki or a Shampon, so you're looking at dealing in for Dora 2, Dora 3, and it's a completely live tile.
Yeah.
Alright, looking here. Nice 2 Shanten for dealer. Already looking to pick up a Ricci Infu. Now with the Sanmenchen upgrade has an overflow of shapes.
It's a good place to be.
Right, over on the left from Austin, we see a call for a fast Ranmen E Shanten, but no value other than that north. We've seen an interesting mix bouncing back and forth between going for faster hands and then going for like fast Yakuhai calls, but then deconstructing the hand, moving back towards higher value.
Although we did see in that last hand after the first call, there's a very intentional push to Toy Toy. Start with the 2, so discard. Oh.
Also worth noting, Ishanten from Toyman over here, headless.
So Tenpai.
Yeah, we already have Tenpai.
Yeah, on the left for Austin's 4/7 mon weight. Just 1,000 points. Also, Garrett picked up before Mon and is now Tenpai. With his 3-pin discard.
Yeah, 2-pin goes out, we have a Ricci for 5 8-pin.
3-pin draw, that is. Ricci Tanyo.
Seems like I'm very, very slightly behind you this time. But only by a second or so.
1
Oh, we have a chase. 6-pin comes out. We're looking at the 7-mon Penchon. So that gets Austin to break Tenpai.
Who wants to fight this? Matthew probably doesn't. We do see there are 2 7-mon left in the wall.
Oh, some players in the chat were talking about perfect Ishanten. It was a perfect Ishanten case here, not to be confused with golden Ishanten. Oh, there goes the road. The golden Ishanten, which is where you have a weird Ishanten where you can either get Itsu or Sanshoku. Quite odd to look at. Moving right along though. What do you see in this hand for dealer? Matthew obviously wants to keep the dealership, but it's low slow.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that pops out is there's a chance at Shanto or Sanshoku, but you'd have to drop that 5-6 shape, and that seems a little bit awkward. You could just angle for Ricci. There's also a backdoor Itsu.
Seems like the best bet. Go for the Ricci, call for K10 if it gets too late, and hope that none of the other players have a hand faster than yours.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, though, it looks like Christopher has a decently fast hand.
Haku's the door. There's one in Christopher's hand and also one in Garrick's hand.
And sorry, Garrick is way faster. You're already Ishanten on 1-4-mon and 2-5-8 pin. For at best, Menthun pin.
Oh, and Christopher making the push for Honitsu now.
Right, makes sense given the point situation.
And also, these draws have been spectacular.
Yeah. Hate to be a party pooper, but this still seems like a hand that's going to be very difficult to win, especially with this Ricci now. So we'll have a Ricci dropping the door for 1-4-mon. There are 5 in players' hands. That leaves 3 in the wall.
4-mon is like super Takame here. You get the Tanya,
Yeah,
you get the Sanshoku.
Oh, only 1 left though. It doesn't look like it's going to come out. Another Ishanten for Manzu Honitsu. And there's the last 1-mon, so now the sumo can only be that final 4-mon, which does guarantee the Takame.
Christopher had Tenpai there, chose not to take it. Wants more. Gets more.
Wow. So we're going to have the 4-7-1. So waiting on the same tiles. Slight advantage, of course, for waiting on the 7.
Oh, Asun was Ishanten for Kokushi, but the last 4-mon comes into hand.
Wow.
Oh!
Hanuman.
Just a Hanuman.
Single more Ura.
Yeah.
Single more Ura would have brought it to 5. You'd have to make the 6 Ura though.
Wow.
Wow,
Another
yeah.
Hanuman. And that was with Christopher also having a hand of that class.
Yeah, same weights there. And then, of course, the Kokushi across the table.
I have enjoyed so much watching these B2A matches. They've had been able to build some incredible hands. And of course, Garrett coming out on top there, kind of fighting for first, not quite there yet, but as we enter South 2, still has a dealership and can make a run at things. Of course,
So
right.
yeah,
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. No, I was just going to say, even if Christopher takes a heavy negative here, it's going to be hard for Matthew to move up. Unless, once again, we get to that plus 80.
Right.
But without a dealership, a lot more difficult now. And there's another player approaching you who is even harder to get under 30k to give you that little boost that you need.
Yeah, at this point, for the players, well, I guess both the players who are in 3rd and 4th have their dealership remaining, so they can still make a run at things. And this is Tenpai for Christopher.
Yeah, 8-mon, Kanchan, 2 of them already gone in Matthew's hand.
Would just be the 1,500 points, but then you get to go again as dealer.
Pong.
And there's not really a lot of other places this hand can go anyway. You can hope to draw the 8-mon to Ricci, but then at that point, You're basically just delaying your Tenpai for no reason.
It makes a lot of sense just make the call and grab the Tenpai as soon as possible. The other players at the table with awkward hands, except for Garrick, who can call twice for Tenpai, even has a Sanshoku chance. Of course, wants to use the door 2-pin.
Interestingly, 5-mon Sumogiri from Matthew, plus the Sumogiris from the dealer might tempt someone to toss the 8-mon, though forming the Anko now, that seems very unlikely. Dealer probably happy with a draw too, though. Could even be worth more than winning this hand. Alright, Ishanten on the left.
Yeah, Matthew's still
The best
retaining the 1-pin for the chance to draw the Dora.
Right, yeah, so at best we're gonna have Richi Dora 1. We have Tenpai across the table, Forso North for Chun only.
Oh, the Dora is drawn by Matthew. Declare Ricci instead. Dama.
And sorry, Chun Dora 1 across the table, not just Chun. Yeah, it doesn't like the 3-mon. Unfortunately, it comes right out, but probably wouldn't have come out if the Ricci had happened. Decides to break the Tenpai, go for another shape in Fuzu.
Ricci.
Eats chance now for Austin. Needs the 4, so but could also win on the 7.
So we have a fight for the 4, but all of them are locked up. That North, still 1 left, and the 7 has 2 left.
Could call this for
Sorry,
Tenpai.
1 left.
Chooses not to. With 11 draws left, we're kind of getting that territory where you might want to call.
Still no sign of either of those final 2 tiles.
Oh, this North
Oh,
looks...
there's the North. This is probably going to deal in.
Yeah. Garrick moves us along once again. Another 2,600 point hand. Plus you get the Ricci stick. So now almost up to 12,000 points away from first place.
Could potentially get that 11 firsts we were talking about earlier. Oh, but the dealer gets this beautiful South Anko right off the bat.
Has tiles near Dora as well, can accept a 9, so.
Nothing too terribly exciting on the rest of the table until this North draw with the 2 Dora in hand. Could go for a Toy Toy, could go for Chitoy. Is Chitoy Ishanten? And the 9-mon or the once cut Hatsu would make for great weights. Might even cut the 5-pin here.
It's kind of rooting for a 9-mon draw so that we might have a chance at Sanshoku Doko.
Oh yeah, that would be fun.
But unfortunately, 2 of them were drawn by Matthew, and so that became very difficult.
And yeah, that would move quite a far away from Tenpai.
We've already seen some ridiculous Yaku here. Figure.
Oh, absolutely. And I think yesterday there was a hard shove at Sanshoku Doko with the 4s. It almost came to fruition. It was Tenpai.
You're right, I remember that. Oh, dealer with a nice shape improvement.
Right, decides to keep the 8, probably hedging Dora acceptance still. But then switches to keep the 2.
Ricci.
Possibly thinking it a little safer. And 6 9-mon Tenpai. 5 left in the wall.
And even the 1 in Christopher's hand might come out.
Oh, okay. Dodges it for now.
Kind of needs to draw another 6-mon.
And then takes a 9-mon weight over the want the Kahatsu, which is very tempting to take with 2 Richis. So we've seen it more than once now, where a player is defending nicely against one Richi, and then the other Richi comes in and they have to drop the honor, which is potentially safe against both.
ドン
Unfortunately, that causes the deal, and it keeps the Ishanten with the chance to get the Hatsutanki, but deals in.
So Austin grabs 7,700 and starts climbing back up.
And Christopher now starting to get in danger of dropping into 8th place.
8th place would still be safe, though.
Yeah, 8th would be safe, but if Matthew gets big enough first, and I still can't really see it happening too easily. There's a chance, though.
Yeah. Do want to be aware of the possible pitfalls. As it is,
Yeah.
Austin starts to pair south again, and Threadora.
Right. Does need to find a pair elsewhere, but that 8999 makes it easy to get a pair with the 7-mon or the 8-mon.
And across the table, Matthews is Headless Ishanten.
Really fast.
With
Trying
3.
to Q4 so.
Yeah, look at the discards. Discard the Hatsu from hand and then 3 Tsumogiri. So that was very fast from the start.
チ
Very tempting to take this. Yeah. Pulling the bad shape in. You don't directly signal that you're Atosuke either, or that you even have this value.
And
And
instantly,
now Ishanten
yeah,
decides not to take the Ryanman Penchant Headless Ishanten, and instead keeps the 8999 because you do end up on a good double-sided weight if you fill the Ryanman first.
now this is,
Yeah. Someone in chat is saying Matthew would probably have to be plus 73,000.
チ
Oh, Tenpai.
ドン
that was
was
read
nice.
out.
Oh, yeah.
Garrick finally taking a hit, and Austin now moves over 30k. Of course, I had the Dora tucked away. It was not revealed how expensive that hand was until the winning tile came out.
Fast 2 Shanten from dealer here. As Yaman, Renman, Kanchan, and then also that combination shape that came up earlier where you can also take the 6-0 and move forward. Over on the left, Yakuhai Anko already.
And a Dora.
Though, yeah, probably looking for even more than that, given the current situation. Has to watch out that he doesn't fall too much further down and risk being overtaken by Matthew, even if it is unlikely.
Good.
Over on the right, we have a sticky E2 Shanten. And here, yeah, the 9-1 makes sense because there are some ways to get Tanya out of this, even if it is unlikely. I'm trying the 2-pin, the 9-pin, or the 1-so disqualifies you from it, but there's nothing wrong with giving it a chance.
Nice Ishanten across the table for Matthew. Beef Dora. This is a
リーチ
Tenpai. Garrick taking the Chun 1-pin Champon. Chun is yet to be seen.
Once again, not like super caring about the value or anything, just wants to move things along. Reserve the first place. Because, even though like being first through fourth is fine here, and they all technically mean the same thing, it feels that much better to be in first place at the end.
ドン
It does find the 1-pin from Austin, so
Oh, at least a deal in because the 1-pin can't be kept for Tanya. Richinomi, 1300.
is enough to grab second place though.
And
Alright.
puts them over 30k.
Austin, here you go. Or sorry, Garrick, this is your chance. Can you find 23,000 points? Or less if you get some sumos. or hit Matthew directly.
With this hand, you could get a repeat and start it off.
Ooh,
South is probably going to come out from one of the two players soon. Opportunity to change into Honitsu as well if you draw around the 3-so.
G,
thinking hard about this call, does end up taking it.
Going for a Honitsu of his own.
Pon,
Probably wanting a Chinitsu more than anything. And yeah, that East probably tells us that it's going to be a forced Chinitsu because the Haku is dead. So you'd
Gee.
like to discard that technically.
Pon,
Now we see the decision from Garrick.
It takes the lighter headless. More ways to draw into Tenpai.
And you're also not discarding 2 more Manzu tiles into what looks like a Chinitsu.
And yeah, nice choice there. Now has the Nobutan attachment, can accept the 1-so. And Chinitsu is Ishanten, waiting for the 7-mon or the 3-mon.
3-mon looking hard to find. 7-mon as well, actually. There's one of either of those tiles.
G,
And Tenpai 1-4-so.
So this would be Yakuhai Yakuhai. Sumo,
Two
you get
left.
the extra Fu.
Alright, shoves it back to keep the better weight. Tenpai gives lots of people courage. So that 9-mon doesn't look quite as scary when you have a nice 2-sided weight. Can change here for the 2-5-so. Decides to aim for the 1-so.
I kind of like that play.
Yeah, I think both are very valid here.
Rom,
And it comes right out.
2,900 for the Roan. We go again.
Alright, so Matthew's Chinitsu doesn't come to fruition. We'll have to find that value, maybe through this hand going for Chinitsu and Pinzu,
It seems
especially
like
with Tudora.
Matthew's had a lot of chances at Chinitsu or Honitsu. And yeah, in the Dora suit especially.
We'll also get 1, 2, 3 Sanshoku Dora 2. And abandons the double south after one copy has been dropped already.
Looks like Honitsu across the table for Christopher in the Manzu. At the left, Austin. Just a collection of tiles, shapes, and a Dora.
Yeah, gonna be hard to make anything worth winning out of that. So yeah, once again hoping for the dealer repeat. There's even some cases where you potentially try to purposely feed the dealer to force them to repeat. So here, like with that draw, it becomes a lot easier to see the potential Jun-chan.
Jun-chan, Sanshoku, perhaps. Jun-chan, Sanshoku,
Pon.
Dora 1.
Pon,
Would be more than enough to get over 30k, but not enough to really jump into the playoffs. And the dealer is 2 pawns now. It's a little bit threatening. Could turn into Toy Toy, but aiming for Thato's locate east. The remaining 2 wait to be seen somewhere in the wall.
More Pinzu draws from Matthew.
This is very deja vu from the last hand. Interestingly, Garrick does break Li Shanten here to keep the safe south, perhaps thinking of, giving it up, saying, okay, I'll let things move on.
Well, drops
Taking
it.
a positive.
I guess the 8-so is very safe as well.
Yeah. So honestly, you're probably good to drop the 1-mon the previous turn. You are Ishanten again now. It's just going to be a little difficult to get into Tenpai without being Furiten. we're having a bad weight. Because of course we can see a lot of the tiles around the 7-pin are gone.
A 6-pin draw is not possible.
Walls on that tune. Christopher knows it's not going to be enough to do anything.
I think, though, if you are Garrick, you don't mind just pushing anything here. Even if you deal in, you will still be safe.
Oh, and we have
Reach.
Tenpai 6-9 pin. And a chase.
And Christopher, who's also Tenpai on the 8-mon and Tune, does throw it right back out and deals in.
Yeah, not much of a choice there. You want to keep Tenpai. You don't necessarily want to win because you want the dealer to repeat, but that's just how the cookie crumbles. And Matthew's going to take a plus 13,000, hitting Christopher, who is above him in the standings. So we'll see what this does.
Yeah, let's see if we can get a standings update.
We'll see in a second. That is a, I think, 101 point swing, 101.3 point swing.
Throw a refresh in there and see if that helps. There we go.
Oh, really close. It's a point off, a single point.
Christopher still ahead by 1 point. Oh my goodness.
Feels bad, man. That is.
Matthew made a valiant effort.
The margins. Single Ricci stick.
You know, Christopher was Tenpai in that last hand, right? Could have declared Ricci. I don't think he had opened.
Yeah, he didn't declare Ricci because once again, like it wasn't really the point to win that hand rather just to be Tenpai in the case of a draw from the dealer.
But that would have been the
declared
difference.
Ricci, yeah, it would have been enough.
So all the an example of where the thinnest of margins, your decision making actually matters. In this case,
and that was a decision. Though I don't know if that was why the decision was made, but it's an example of where your choice can be motivated by factors outside of the game you're in at the moment, the overall standings. Play for the standings. Yeah.
So,
wow.
In that sense, well played by Christopher to avoid the worst case scenario. In this case, retains a spot in the B1, B2 playoff match, which will be all those playoff matches for the B2 leagues will begin next week. And I think, it'll be really exciting to see all 4 of these players, Felipe, Dakota, Joe, and Christopher, in those matches. And I know in the other B2 pools, Pool B and Pool C, there will also be playoff matches with those players as well. Of course, standings are not finalized for all of those tables. So there are still games to be played in both Pool B and Pool C, I believe. So we'll be watching out for those for the remainder of this week.
Right, and looking at the other game that we didn't cover, that one has finished, and Crow took another first with 28.6, Albert took a positive 8.3, I was losing a tiny bit with 6.2, and Andres taking a minus 31, so it seemed like a 2 floating, 2 sinking situation.
Crow just dominating that B1 division, has a very significant lead on the next person in the standings.
Absolutely. Definitely showing that he deserves to be higher up in these ranks.
Yeah.
Someone needs to control him.
Could have made it to the next division, A2, in the inaugural Beta League, but was kind of trapped in the group of death. There was just one group that had a lot of difficult opposition and ended up barely missing the cut, but definitely showing in this season that he has got the skill to play in A2. And maybe even the higher divisions. We'll see in the Summer League how that all pans out. Speaking of the Summer League, there's one more session before we take a little bit of a break in between the spring season and the summer season. So if anybody watching is interested in participating in the American Riichi Mahjong League for the summer session. Registration is open until June 20th. You can see that scrolling along the bottom. You can also see the website, americanriichi.org. You can head over there to find the sign-up link.
Oh, big announcement. Does Quark know something that we don't know?
It looks like...
Oh, there's a withdrawal.
Okay, so one of the things that new players should know is that the league is pretty flexible in between seasons. So that if you know that you're not going to be able to, that you're going to be busy or you have work obligations, you can go on hiatus for seasons, and also in between seasons, there are other reasons why players might not be able to stay in the league, and so due to a withdrawal, there actually will be another advancement slot in Pool B2A, which means...
Yeah, it means that Matthew's going to make it in after all.
Yeah. Okay, so Matthew, along with Christopher, both will play in that B1, B2 playoff spot, and that is going to be incredibly exciting. We saw such a fascinating game with just these four Hanshan with Garrick and Austin at the table, between the two players as well. We will get the chance to see them again face off in a playoff match.
Yeah, that's cool. And I believe it was Felipe that dropped out from there. That's actually one of the players in our club, really fun to play with. So unfortunate to see him giving up that spot, but very gracious as well. I am really looking forward to see the rubber match between Matthew and Christopher.
It will certainly be exciting because I know in the A group there is a set of four Hanshan, and the top player, you have to finish top overall in those four matches. Only one player advances, and so it's really winner takes all situation. It's going to be so exciting to watch both Matthew and Christopher and the other two players, Dakota and Joe, battle it out to see who will be advancing. And I just cannot wait for those matches. I know we're going to try to broadcast as many of the playoff matches as we can.
And I'm also excited to watch that match as well because Dakota is another player in our club who has been making great efforts to improve recently. So it'd be cool to see him move on as well.
I do remember watching Dakota play a couple of broadcasts ago and was on a complete run, was near the negatives, and just went on a total run to make it up to plus 176, I believe. And it's been so much fun watching him play. And really all of the players that are in this playoffs have the potential to build just incredible hands and have some very fun Mahjong play styles. And so I'm so much looking forward to that match.
Well, that's all good to look forward to. So look for announcements for that soon in the news channel on the server, which you can also join from the website, or the events at the top of the server list. Anything else that you want to say or any comments that we should make?
Just thinking about when our next broadcast will be, I believe we will have one tomorrow, in fact.
Is that the remaining A1 game?
There is a B2 Pool C match and also an A1 match as well that we'll try to get both of those covered. I know the timing of those overlaps a little bit, but we'll probably get to watch both of those tables play. And so, yeah, you're right. It is that A1 match and also some of the B2 from another pool.
Oh, yeah, sounds good. I'll see if I can be there too. Those are definitely going to be interesting. It's going to solidify the top placements of A1 with Jeremy, who is currently in 4th place by about a 20-point margin. So once again, we'll have a situation where a lot of people will probably stay near where they are, but it'll determine who plays who in the final 4 games.
I know the A1 players are definitely looking forward to seeing how that will turn out.
All right. Well, if that's all, I'll be signing off for tonight. Thank you for having me. Really great to work with you. And catch you all in the next stream.